What's going on, guys, and welcome to another edition of Thursday Night, the Bare Minimum. I am your host, Brandon Duplacey, joined by co-host Dustin Jones. What's going on, Dustin?
I'm a little thrown off by the fact you just called yourself the host. Call me the co-host.
Sorry, the person introducing this show on a hostless evening.
Not much, man. I just had my cats fucking fighting outside the door. It was annoying. We started early tonight, guys. Sorry, we had a little extra time. We didn't want to go so late. So if you can join us, please jump in the chat. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you want to talk about. We'll discuss it.
Yeah, guys, thanks for joining us, whoever decides to. Let's dive a little bit into this nail biter.
The game tonight?
Yeah, that did not occur. Let's talk a little bit about. We are back into the divisional games, guys. I've noticed they started to do this. The NFL, it's like Thursday night divisional for like the first 5 weeks. Then they go on this weird stretch where it's non-divisional games for like 3 weeks, and then they go back to divisional games.
Yeah, next week it's the AFC North.
It makes no sense. I don't know if they just can't fit divisional games into those. You know what I mean? The schedule just makes it not work.
I don't know, man. Thursday night games. Last week was a great game. Tonight, not so good of a game. NFC East showdown between the Eagles and the Commanders. And it was just a bad game. I don't really want to talk much about the game. I had a bet on it. I felt good about it, and I was way off. So
I lost. I had a 4-leg parlay. The only one I missed was McLaurin, man.
Yeah, McLaurin just really, and he's starting on my fantasy team too. So that double F.
I have Jalen Hurts, man. Fantasy 19 points out of a quarterback. That's not good.
Yeah, it's decent. You could have had worse. I benched Jaden Daniels on my team, so thank God for that. But I mean, the things that stood out to me, man, from a Bears fan's perspective that I wanted to touch on from this game were Jaden Daniels' struggles in this game. And Jalen Carter is probably a top 10 player in the NFL already at this point. Like in terms of, he's just a total game wrecker, completely disrupts the line of scrimmage, makes plays in the backfield against the run and the pass. The guy is unstoppable. And the Bears had a chance to draft him. And
we got Darnell Wright.
It took Darnell Wright. And I mean, listen, I've tried to let it go and move on. And Darnell Wright is a solid player, but he's a right tackle drafted in the top 10 of a draft. I hated that. When Jalen Carter fell to the Bears last year, Brandon, me and you were kind of celebrating. I was
super definitely prematurely celebrating.
Yeah. And then the Bears kicked us in the nuts and took Jalen Carter. I'm sorry, Darnell Wright over Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter was the best player in that draft last year in my mind, and the fact that he fell to 9 was like, oh my God, the gods are shining on the Chicago Bears.
And if you're comparing the talents of Jalen Carter and Darnell Wright, it's not even close, man.
No. Darnell Wright might be like a top 15 right tackle in the league. I mean, he's not, blowing anybody out of the water with his performance. I like him. I think he can only get better. I hope so. But Jalen Carter was like a generational talent at the defensive tackle position. And he's just destroying the league right now. And watching that game tonight, that just kept popping out how damn good he is and how quick he is off the line of scrimmage and how many moves he has to beat his guy and how strong he is. He can just tackle guys with one arm. It's insane. And the Bears passed on this guy. I still can't get over it.
I'm going to try not to. I don't ever do this. I don't make excuses for people, man. But I want to analyze or assess Darnell Wright when he's next to slightly quality people. You know what I mean? I don't think if you're one good piece on a bad line, you're ever going to look very good. No, I really don't.
I'm not trying to knock. Right?
No, I know. I wanted to clarify that though, because if you were to say right now, is Darnell Wright the 10th overall pick or whatever it was that we took him at? No, he's not. He has not been that at all.
Not even close. So, if you were doing a redraft, he might go in the bottom of the first, second round. If you were doing a redraft of that draft, Jalen Carter would go in the top 3, like he should have in that draft.
There's some offensive linemen that were taken after Wright that look like they're going to be better players, to be honest, man. If you ask me, I think a guy that doesn't get enough attention, man. I think he was out of Georgia, was Broderick Jones, who the Steelers
drafted.
He's just stud, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, listen. There were the character issues with Jalen Wright, and there was the incident he had with speeding, racing, and then the accident that happened, and all that comes with that. But Jalen Carter was clearly just an amazing football player, just a guy who can change a game. And the Bears got lucky enough to have him fall to him. And with everything going around, the decision making being questioned by of polls, of Eberflus, of this Bears organization in general, that's one that I haven't forgot about. That decision baffled me when they made it. You just can't pass on that kind of talent, man. You just can't. And
No,
when you
and
pass on
it
that
doesn't
talent,
work
it comes back
this
to
way.
bite you in the ass.
And it doesn't work this way, but if you think about this defense, as good as they are, if you think about them with Roquan Smith and Jalen Carter instead of Edmonds and Dexter, they're
Oh my God.
worlds better.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, just completely unstoppable. And listen, the whole argument at the time was the Bears don't have a good enough locker room to bring him into, Jalen Carter, with all of his character issues. Okay, well then what's that say about the head coach? What's that say about the GM who's put this roster together, who you can't draft the most talented player in the draft because you can't trust that you can coach him? Come on.
So what I heard, man, is Jalen Carter raced a car. He didn't kill anyone. His buddy in another vehicle apparently crashed, and he fled, being scared, being young, and having pretty prolific career on the line, I'd imagine, as far as he was concerned. And all these people are just cutting him down. Like, he's not a kid. Like, there's no second chance for this guy.
Like, people don't make mistakes.
And then the Rashee Rice thing occurs, and from what I understand, he caused an accident, an 8-car accident, and somebody was left paraplegic. And people are just, it's Rashee Rice, bro. He's cool. It's like the approach between these two players is so weird. Like, guys were telling me, like, I'm getting Rice on my fantasy team. He better damn well play a full year this year. It's like, you were the guy that wanted Jalen Carter to not be a Chicago Bear. Now you don't even want a suspension for this other guy?
Like, yeah, no, it just comes down to your preferences beforehand. It comes down to how it benefits you. The Bears would have had an amazing talent on their roster if they had just taken the best player on the board at 9 in that draft. Instead, they took Darnell Wright. They reached on a right tackle.
Yeah, whenever
and when you have the chance to add that kind of talent to your team and you pass on it, guys, your team doesn't. It just gets worse. Like, you could have made your team that much better with that pick, and you just passed on that opportunity. So not only do you not have that talent, you now have less talent with the position you took. You're setting yourself back by not taking the best available player.
Well, whenever you say, man, that a guy fell to you in the draft, take him. You know what I mean? If you're ever using the word fell in a draft, like he you take that guy. But
he probably wasn't on the Bears board. If he was on the Bears board, he would have been the number 1 player. He had to have not been on their board at all, which makes me question their decision making too.
In regards to how much better he would make a football to, like, this Bears, they measure baseball players now, man, in like a wins
above replacement.
Yeah, like how many? So, like, Trout's responsible for 11 wins in a season. Jalen Carter on that Washington play, the Hail Mary, he doesn't let a guy run around for 13 seconds. I'm just saying, like, that's
Jalen Carter on any
place. Where's one place where we might have measured a win? You know what I mean?
Listen, I don't want to beat it to death. It's in the past. It's a regret of mine as a Bears fan, because I really thought they had the opportunity to draft a once-in-a-lifetime type of player, and they just looked that gift horse in the mouth. But what it boils down to me is that if you didn't take this guy because you didn't believe that you could, help him grow and help him become a better player and a better person, then you don't have faith in your leadership, and you don't have faith in your culture, and you don't have faith in your coach. So you're making bad decisions because of previous bad decisions, and those things just snowball. If you feel like you can't take the best player in the draft because you can't control them, then who the fuck is in charge, and why are they? Because the Eagles looked at him and said, we can make this work. And they got the best player in the draft because of it, with the 11th pick, I believe they ended up getting it with, or the 10th, right? They traded back from the 9th. Yeah. To the 10th.
And we've talked about this before, Dustin. measure value, not talent, right? Because both guys are talented, right? And Carter, but value, like you said, man, a right tackle in a top 10 is almost unheard of. And then you think,
Value's not there ever.
could you have taken a position that's very hard to get in Jalen Carter, a quality player at that position, and then take a second round talent at right tackle where is
That
probably where
happens all the
most right
time.
it's
Yeah.
probably where most right tackles get
Yeah.
good right tackles, probably go somewhere in that top of the second round range.
Man,
So
a defensive tackle that can control the line of scrimmage is one of the most important positions in football. Value-wise, it's not even close, Brandon. That's a very good point. Like in terms of the value they got for the position with the pick. And then you think about the value they got for a punter in the 4th round. Everyone wants to justify that. I hated that pick. I love Torrey Taylor, man. I get it. He's going to be a Pro Bowler probably as a punter, but like it's a punter. You drafted in the 4th round when you needed offensive line help, when you needed pass rush help, man. Like the value is not there. So Ryan Poles has this history of making questionable value decisions with his draft picks. And if he hits on them, he looks like a genius. But if he doesn't, he looks like the opposite. You're taking that chance with those type of reach picks,
I don't. You said you don't want to talk about this too long, man, but I think it's important because there is from what I understand now, guys, there's a pretty big chunk of our fan base here that wants this guy out, Ryan Poles.
Yeah,
so
a lot of those people were defending him not drafting Jalen Carter. I know that. Which so now you're looking back on it in retrospect. Me and you were calling this shit out when it was happening, saying it's not a good way to run a football team, So I mean,
well, no, and if you had thought, like, let's say, man, they trade back that they don't take Carter because they don't like the character, they trade back and they take a left tackle top 10. I would understand that. It's a position when I said in terms of value. If you have a guy here for the next quality left tackle for the next 4 years on a rookie deal, that's huge. But a right tackle, man, honestly,
dime a dozen, dude. Dime a dozen.
The game.
I need a left tackle with my top 10 draft pick.
He didn't play against New England, and I know Caleb got beat up, but I don't think too much of it came from the right tackle position. The pass rush, man.
Pryor did not have a very good game, man.
Well,
Pryor did let up a lot.
None of them did, but the left side of that line is so much worse than the right side.
Pryor let up a lot from my recollection. I mean, the entire offensive line let up a lot, like you said. None of them played well. But Darnell
the left side of that line is weakest.
Darnell Wright would have made a difference in that game, Brandon. He's going to make a difference in this game on Sunday, but like you said, I need a left tackle if you're drafting in the top 10. I don't want a right tackle, man. It's nothing against Darnell Wright. It's just it doesn't make sense in team building through the draft. It doesn't make sense. It never made sense.
But if you're going to take a right tackle top 10, it's got to be better than somebody, hold on, I'm pulling it up, with its overall 70 grade on PFF. It's not good.
60 is the average for them, I believe. So better than average, and but like you said, you want a guy who's gonna impact the game week to week. You see the difference they make when you're taking a top 10 player. That person needs to be an X factor for your team.
He's allowed 5 sacks. He's tied for 6th. I don't love that off a top 10 right tackle, man. I want like a brick wall over there. You know what I mean?
Like I said, man, Darnell Wright.
I don't want any sacks at all.
You want Lane Johnson with that. You want Lane Johnson.
You want some. You don't got it. Caleb doesn't have to worry about that, but he does.
Like I said, yeah. Like I said, man, Darnell Wright is maybe a top 15 tackle in the league, right tackle in the league. You spent a top 10 pick on that, man. It's kind of inexcusable and indefensible in my mind. It was at the time. I've tried to get past it, but again, watching that game tonight just kind of brought it all. Every time I watch Jalen Carter kick everyone on the other team's ass, it brings it right back to the front of my mind how much I was excited to have a guy like Jalen Carter on this team, and that the Bears just said, no, thank you. We want a right tackle. It blew my mind at the time, and it's just some trauma coming back to me when I watch Jalen Carter kick ass. So I thought I'd bring that up. The other part of the game that I thought we should talk about, you want to touch on that, Jaden Daniels' performance tonight?
Yeah, he played it. I mean, God, this Eagles defense isn't even ranked very high, man.
I mean,
They did
against the
some,
pass, they're pretty decent.
they did
Against
something right, man. They did something right. They kept him uncomfortable most of that
here,
game. You could clearly see that he missed a lot of throws, man. He missed
22
throws
of
against.
32. Let me give you a
He,
stats real quick. 22 of 32, 191 yards, one touchdown, one interception. He was sacked 3 times. And they really didn't let him run very much either. I mean, he had 7 carries for 18 yards. When you're a quarterback running for about 2 yards a carry, then you're having a tough game.
You should probably just stop running.
Because again, Jaden Daniels is a beanpole, man. He is. He's just a tall, skinny dude, and he's been hurt in the ribs, and it's gonna happen again. You know, the more they expose him to those things, and the Eagles were shutting it down. They were doing a very good job of containing him. N'Kobe Dean and Zach Bond, those 2 middle linebackers for the Eagles. I mean, they spied him the whole game, and they contained him. So they had a good game plan for that. But yeah, Jaden Daniels, man, they forced him to stay in the pocket. They made him uncomfortable. They pressured him a lot. Big part of that was Jalen Carter. Big part of that was Jalen Carter.
I don't
and
want
he didn't perform well.
I don't want to hate on Jaden Daniels because I like Caleb Williams, and I found myself doing that before. I'm trying to stop myself, but I do want to say this: this is a rookie quarterback, the same as any other man. And not only was he going to play some quality defenses, at some juncture down the road here, he was going to lose some football games and look like a rookie. But also, man, you figured the problem with guys like these, if you're not Lamar Jackson, just almost flawless in both passing and running the football, teams figure this stuff out, Dustin.
Your mic
These
is
guys,
being a little weird.
What's that?
Your mic is being a little weird. It sounds like crickets when you're talking.
I have crickets here.
Okay, so I'm actually just hearing.
Yeah, no, that's I have a chameleon. Yeah, chameleon. Yeah.
Tell those crickets to shut the fuck up.
But oh no, I've grown. I don't even notice it anymore, man. But
man, I noticed it. Sorry.
I have a veiled chameleon, guys. But think about Jaden Daniels, man. Guys who play like that. It's a very specific. This very specific style of football. It gets figured out. You know what I mean? Dustin, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You get this quarterback like Justin Fields, who's running the ball down people's throat, and then you find a way to take that away from them, and you see what a player is really worth as a quarterback, the position they're drafted to be. So
I gotta kind of push back on that, man. I think
please
Jaden Daniels has done more with his arm in his rookie season than he has with his legs. I think his legs help him with his arm, but I mean the guy is completing almost 70% of his passes, over 2,000 yards.
That's the point, though, man. And the
What's
teams
the
teams that Jaden Daniels is able to run the ball against, he passes consistently well. And teams,
he did not run the ball well today at all. But I mean, he put up 191 yards. He had 10 incompletions out of 32.
And I don't know why,
but that interception
we watched
when they had the chance of that game. That's what I was really.
And we're talking about this game like this is the eye opener, man. I mean, we watched the Bears destroy Jaden Daniels. I mean, that was not a good game for Jaden Daniels. He threw one touchdown that bounced around the end zone for a little while. It was not a good football. And I told you guys when this guy plays quality defenses, he is still a rookie. He's not God. It's going to show, and it's showing.
Well, listen, I don't want it to be a Jaden Daniels bashing thing. The thing that stood out to me is that, like, everyone is saying...
I don't think I'm bashing.
Not everyone. No, for sure. But everyone... There's a lot of people saying the Bears should have went with Jaden Daniels, or Jaden Daniels is that much better. That
conversation's stupid, man. You're talking about two different teams, two different situations, two coaching staffs.
The conversation is happening nonetheless. Yeah. So I just wanted to touch on the fact that this is what you should expect from rookie quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels had a bad game today against a really good defense that had a good game plan for him, and that's going to happen to rookie. That's going to happen to rookie.
I don't know if they're really good, man.
I think they're going to just get better, Brandon.
I told you guys that. I told you guys that weeks ago that these young DBs will figure it out, but they're not really good.
I've been talking about how much I expect from this Eagles defense since before the season started. It's going to take some time.
Cooper DeJean is going to be a player.
Coordinator.
Cooper DeJean is going to be a player that you're aware of constantly. Well, you know what I mean. There will be a point in that guy's career.
a hell of a player for the entirety of his career, and he's coming on. He's starting to figure it out, and that's what's
No,
going to happen.
he looked really good tonight.
And Kobe Dean and Zach Bond, man, they have some good players. Jalen Carter, they have really good players. This defense is only going to get better. So this was a good defense tonight that had a good game plan for Jaden Daniels. Is my point. And rookie quarterbacks,
I don't even think you mentioned their. You didn't even mention their highest. Wasn't their highest pick Arnold?
No, Quinion Mitchell.
Aaron
Arnold's on the Lions.
Other Alabama kid.
Quinion Mitchell
was not out. I thought Mitchell was
not out of Alabama. He was out of Toledo. The other Alabama kid was Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Kool-Aid. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I know. I was trying to make a point. I was trying to make a point, but now it's fine. Listen, what it comes down to for me is that Jaden Daniels kind of looked like how Caleb Williams has looked when he's got pressure on him. This team was pressuring him, and he looked human. And Jaden Daniels has not looked human. If you compare their stats this season so far, it's not really close. Caleb Williams completing 60% of his passes. Jaden Daniels completing 68.7. Caleb Williams, 1,785 yards. Jaden Daniels, 2,338. Now, Jaden Daniels has played in more games than Caleb. Let's just put that out there. 10 touchdowns for Jaden Daniels, 3 interceptions, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions for Caleb. If you throw in Bo Nix, he's completing 63% of his passes, 1968, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So these rookie quarterbacks are having ups and downs, and they're going to. So I only say this to point out, like, Jaden Daniels has been lighting the league on fire, and Caleb has kind of been falling off. But there is potential that Caleb Williams will start to light the league on fire again like he did in a couple of games. And Jaden Daniels is going to have his bumps in the road too. These are rookie quarterbacks. You were talking about it, Brandon. C.J. Stroud. He was the anomaly. These guys that have these amazing seasons are the anomaly. We were counting on Caleb to be the anomaly. We had higher expectations for Caleb than what he's shown. And so did the Bears, obviously, because they just fired their offensive coordinator because they're not seeing what they expected. So it's going to be a bumpy road for these rookie quarterbacks. CJ Stroud is not the norm. That is the anomaly. What we're seeing from all these rookie quarterbacks, not just Caleb Williams, is kind of what the norm is and what should be expected for a rookie quarterback. We had higher expectations, but maybe we shouldn't have, because this is kind of how it goes for these rookie quarterbacks. And you saw it tonight with Jaden Daniels.
It is how it goes. So let me say this. There is no benefit to benching a rookie quarterback after 8 weeks, man. 9 weeks. There's none whatsoever. So let's dive into this. Yeah. Because I want to ask the Bears fan base, at least the ones who are, we see them in the chat, man, the guys who are pitching for Tyson Bagent to start. I'm talking about consistently. We have
I know. I was just making a joke.
We have secret Bagents in our chat almost constantly. And
secret Bagent, man.
And I just have to ask the Bears fan base.
What up, Shorty?
Who do you think is on the bench? who do you think, like, because I get it, man, because Shane Steichen looks like he's kind of worried about losing his job. He's benching Richardson, bring Richardson, you know what I mean? He's trying to, because I think he knows this, it's all or nothing. Who do you got?
He was brought here to help.
And he's got Joe Flacco, who threw 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and took a team to the playoffs last year. So he's got options. Do you think that there's, like, Thomasbrown or Shane Waldron before that? Do you think they're thinking, like, man, I got this guy just sitting on the bench, heating up.
I'm itching to get him in the game.
Yeah, as long as we bring Nathan Peterman back as the third stringer, we can have somebody who could throw a 50-yard ball when we need it. I mean, what do you? Here's my issue with Tyson Bagent. Here's my issue with the Caleb Williams being benched conversation. This entire conversation to me revolves around Tyson Bagent. This guy, okay, Bears fans, I've done this before. I'm gonna do it again. I want to remind you, he's not a good quarterback. He went 2-2 last year, and the teams he beat were the Raiders and the Panthers. And in the Raiders game, Deonta Foreman had 3 touchdowns and like 150 all-purpose yards. This guy was never relied upon to win a game. He never did. He aided in a winning effort. He did not win a football game. And now we're talking about Caleb Williams being benched for him because of his savvy veteran qualities. He's played less games than the guy who's starting. And he was a Division II undrafted player versus the number 1 overall pick 9 weeks into his career. If you bench Caleb Williams, You are doing exactly what a Bears organization would do on any given Sunday.
What up, Bears
This,
country?
we,
Thanks for
we
joining us.
cannot operate
Appreciate
this.
you, Shorty.
I don't know if anybody's paying attention to the league right now, but we've now seen Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson get benched. Guess who's starting this week for those teams?
Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson.
It doesn't go the way you guys think. Bajan's not going to come in here because I know there's a lot of guys who are like, I just want to see Caleb.
And let's be clear.
Healthy.
Let's be clear. And just because you brought up that example, Andy Dalton and Joe Flacco are both two guys that I would rather start. I mean, I guess it's a toss-up between Dalton and Bagent, but I'd rather start Flacco over Tyson Bagent if I had to go to a backup quarterback.
Oh, 100%.
It's not even close.
Because when you're benching a rookie, it's like, well, maybe this older guy can come in and play
can
well.
Stabilize us, can calm us down.
And this veteran can come in and play well and show the rookie there is a way to be good.
This is
on
how
this
you work
football
this
team.
offense.
Yes, there's a way to do this, man. This is pay attention because who knows? I get injured, I get benched again. You're back in. Pay attention to what the fuck I'm doing right now. Tyson Bagent is not that guy. He's not the example that Caleb Williams needs to be catering or molding himself after. Is Tyson Bagent shouldn't be teaching Caleb Williams anything except for this. Don't listen to the fans, man. Just keep moving fucking forward. That's it. Because this guy, his entire life, the one lesson that Tyson Bagent can give to any athlete who's aspiring in their careers is it can happen to anyone, man. I was a walk-on in a Division II college. I broke every record there ever was.
Games for the oldest franchise in the NFL.
Most importantly, now I'm a backup on an NFL team. That's what my hard work got me. And that's it, guys. That's it. And if you think, and I like these guys who are pitching I just want Caleb to stay healthy. No, you don't. You think Tyson Bagent will come in and give this team some kind of fire or spark?
There's people that have been calling for fucking Caleb to be benched for Tyson this entire season.
And it's, guys, it's not, you don't have a better player. I think there's this misconception that there's somehow a better player on the bench and the Bears just aren't aware of it. It's not the case, guys.
It's an easy argument to make when you're not watching him in this offense. Imagine Tyson Bagent coming out and being like, hey, Caleb, let me show you how it's done. I'm going to watch these throws that you can make in this offense. Like Tyson doesn't have a good arm. He really doesn't. He can't do what Caleb does.
Thanks, Bears Country Productions. We appreciate you joining us for a short period of time. Yeah. When you wake up, man, check out the rest of this episode. And please subscribe if you're not.
Yeah, he's already.
We appreciate you though, man. BCP always. Thanks. This conversation, guys. It also is. I'm a firm believer that confidence in a young player in any sport is the most important thing. Probably the most important aspect of their early career is to feel like they're the same guy they were dominating people in college, right? And
Matt Eberflus is a firm believer in putting his foot in his mouth.
And you bench a kid. You think Caleb's going to feel better?
No. And when Matt Eberflus is asked, is Caleb going to be playing through the ups and downs this season? He was specifically asked that. Is Caleb going to be playing through the ups and downs this season through the good and the bad? I know this has gotten
so much traction. It's now to the coach, man.
We're going to evaluate it week to week, he says. He doesn't say he says Caleb is his confidence has not waned throughout this, and he supports him in that way. But like,
too, Bears Country Leagues.
When you're asked publicly if your rookie number 1 overall pick is going to continue to play, and your answer is we're going to evaluate that week to week, is that you were just talking about confidence in your rookie quarterback, Brandon? Does that instill confidence when Caleb Williams hears that? Is Matt Eberflus backing
Dustin,
his guy?
For real. All you guys out there watching this show, and you're all football fans, remember a time and tell me when a head coach said during an interview, yeah, we might bench him. It doesn't happen. Like the quarterback.
That's basically what Eberflus said.
Until he's benched.
He left the door open for that, right?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. There's no way to interpret it.
Caleb's on the other mic, 10 feet away from him, saying, I have confidence in my head coach. Well, the head coach is over there saying, he might not be the guy.
Yeah, week to week. We'll look at it next week. We'll see how it looks. And last week he was asked about Shane Waldron and his confidence in him, and he said he's not making a change. He has the utmost confidence in Waldron, and this week Waldron's gone. So
which is even scarier because that makes you feel like Flus is 100% in on.
So if Flus had given Caleb the vote of confidence, what does that mean even? Flus's words mean nothing. Matt Eberflus's words mean nothing. They are a bunch of nothingness jumbled together. The whole story for him going into this season, and I guess we're onto this because he got coached up on how to handle these press conferences and put his best foot forward and show people who he is as a leader of men. And he's got the beard, he's got the cool haircut, he's at courtside with fucking Matt LaFleur looking so cool. This guy is stumbling through press conferences again. He has no idea what he's doing.
Didn't he have to take like a public speaking?
Yeah. No, he was coached throughout the offseason.
Okay, well, that coach they hired is probably not feeling pretty good, right?
Matt Eberflus probably hired that coach.
And then fired him for inappropriate behavior. We don't know what it means. What did you guys do in that room? Yeah.
So, like, for him to just stumble his way through this stuff after being assured throughout the offseason that this was something he was focused on, this shows you what Matt Eberflus focuses on doesn't get better, guys. It stays the same or it gets worse. It stays the same.
It is how I address podcasting after every episode. I think we just got to get better.
Yeah.
We got to be better.
It's week to week. It's week to week. Yeah. We'll see how it is next week. Maybe next week I'll replace Brandon with Kyle.
Dustin, are you guys benching me?
Yeah, I was just saying, maybe next week we'll replace you with Kyle. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, they won't know the difference. Same as Thomasbrown and Shane Waldron.
Well, we're hoping for something different from
I know, that was a joke.
Hey, listen, man, the news, we haven't really had a chance to discuss it on air yet. Thomasbrown is the new offensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears. Shane Waldron was relieved of his duties finally on Tuesday. We were here on Monday on the Hallis Hall Hangover screaming for him to be fired. I was here on the Hallis Hall. I was on the Hallis Hall Hangover after week 3 against the Colts asking for Shane Waldron to be fired. So, I mean, it's been a long time coming, to be honest. This offense, the inconsistencies, the lack of logic behind the play calling. And they've replaced him with Thomasbrown. And Thomasbrown had a press conference yesterday, and he handled himself really well. He said all the right things. Now we got to see it put into action. Thomasbrown has cut his teeth as a running backs coach, man. We went through this. Me and you actually did a show months ago really focusing on Thomasbrown because of this very reason, because we had that we were confident in as our passing game coordinator behind the offensive coordinator. And we broke down everything about Thomasbrown. But just again, running backs coach at Chattanooga in 12, Marshall in 2013, Wisconsin in 2014, and then Georgia in 2015. He's been in a lot of systems just through college. He was the offensive coordinator and running backs coach in Miami from 2016 to 2018. South Carolina running backs coach in 19. Now, he's had a lot of jobs. If I was interviewing him and I saw his resume, it's like, you don't stick around very much in these places. He was the Rams running back coach 2020. Running back coach and assistant head coach in 2021. Then he went to the tight ends coach and maintained that assistant head coach.
Hold on, guys. So this guy was an assistant head coach for
the
Super Bowl winning team.
Yep. And then he was the Panthers OC in 2023 when Frank Reich reluctantly gave him the play calling duties. Then he took him away, and then Frank Reich got fired, and then Thomasbrown got him for the rest of the season. And now he's here, and he's going to be calling plays for the Chicago Bears offense. That is embarrassing, pathetic. What other terrible words can you use to describe an offense? Because that's what the Bears offense has been 3 weeks running.
Well, I'm going to say this, man.
Where are we at with this? We believe in this guy?
We talked about the benefit in having Thomasbrown on this roster, just for the reason that, A, if Waldron didn't work out, you got a former play caller on the team, but an NFL play caller too, not a college. But B, he wasn't doing anything. You know, guys, what sucks about when you fire a head coach and you promote somebody to interim coach, that there's a trickle-down effect where now, like, if you promote your defensive coordinator like the Saints have to be their head coach, now he has to elect somebody to call plays on defense because he's going to take the head coaching reins. There's no trickle-down here. Thomasbrown wasn't committed to doing anything on this team, so he is
installing the passing game plan, I guess, as the passing game coordinator. I mean, apparently, from what Caleb Williams said, they haven't talked a lot, which is weird. I don't know if that's just standard across the league.
Our rookie quarterback and our passing coach don't talk. That's
they've had a few passing ships in the night.
Just another Bears thing. So, Caleb, how do you feel about the passing game coordinator being your new offensive coordinator?
Who is he?
We had a passing game coordinator.
Who's that guy? Who are you talking about?
What if Caleb was like he wasn't in charge of passing up until this point?
No, yeah, I mean, and he's gonna be in the booth. He's gonna be watching from high up there. He's not gonna be on the sidelines.
I think that's where he's
Don't-
been, right? Because you don't really
Nope.
see him. He's like
Yeah. That's I'm not sure the difference that's gonna make. Alrighty.
My phone just fell on my can.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Dustin? Do you think this is going to be enough to
What?
To make a difference?
To make a difference how? Like playoff team? To make a difference how? Like beat the Packers this week? Listen, you couldn't have gotten worse.
No.
You couldn't have gotten worse.
I don't care about making the playoffs or beating the Packers enough
Developing Caleb
to
Williams.
make Caleb not look like garbage.
Yeah. Developing Caleb Williams has to be the focus. But in terms of the decision that was made, I mean, it had to be made. I mean, Flus needed to do something to try and save his job.
I said this for weeks, guys. I said this for weeks. He had no choice.
It can't get worse. It really can't. Like, based on what we've seen, when you drop your rookie quarterback back 40 times and you only hand it to running back 17 times, when the clear-cut key to victory is going to be to establish the run and
against
dominate
the plethora of bad rushing defenses too, man.
Yeah. It's just that's unforgivable, man. It just there's no logic in it. It doesn't make sense. Obviously, Flus could not get him to do what he wanted. Hopefully, Thomasbrown wants to do things a little differently. I mean, if they come out and they run the same type of game plan again, I will be at a loss. I will be at a loss. It's clear what this team needs to do, and hopefully Thomasbrown knows how to get it done, man.
Yeah, and
I'm saying he's bringing energy. So
I'm hoping he's thought about this before, whether or not this might occur. And I'm hoping that he's been licking his chops, standing behind Shane Waldron this whole year.
Looking at all the weapons out there.
If I had a fucking DeAndre Swift on that Panthers team last year, you better believe that guy would have carried the ball 40 times a game, man. Like, I hope that's the way Thomas.
I had Miles Sanders and he carried it 25 times a game.
And he was terrible.
You have DeAndre Swift.
Yeah. And you have a lot of short passing, quick. And when it comes, because running the ball is running the ball, right? Like he could take exactly what Shane Waldron was scheming up when it comes to running the ball and just apply it a little more. Here's the thing with the guy.
Not necessarily. Real quick, just on that. I know you're about to get into another thing.
Thomasbrown's not going to bring a playbook into this, man. He's going to call Shane Waldron's
for sure.
play.
It's not going to be Shane Waldron's plays. It's going to be the same verbiage that the offense is using, but Thomasbrown is going to install his own game plan. I guarantee. And he has one. You have to have one. If you're a passing game coordinator, you're a previous offensive coordinator in the position he was in where things were, on ice this whole time, very slippery.
Hey, Dustin, how ironic would it be if our passing game coordinator was the guy we needed to figure out how to run the fucking football?
He's a running backs coach at heart, man. Let's keep this in mind with Thomasbrown, guys. Running backs coach. He was a running back. This is where he cut his teeth and developed an identity that got him into the NFL. So he will run.
Keep saying that, man. Sounds terrible.
What?
Cut his teeth.
Cut his teeth. It's a very well known saying. This is the first time.
Okay, I just keep picturing American History X every time you say it. It's just
okay. I can't control what your brain does, Brandon. That's been made very.
Well,
clear.
You should try.
But he was a running backs coach all through his college coaching career, all the way up to being with the Rams as a running backs coach. This guy will run the football. He does know how to run the football. So I think that will happen for sure. And what I wanted to make the point on, man, in terms of the running game, how it can be different is getting out to the edge, running outside zone. Not just running.
I think Daryl Johnston said that about 32 times.
Oh my God. And it's clear as day that's what will work. You get DeAndre Swift, give him a chance to beat him on the edge. It's not going to work every time, but the one time it does, he's going to go for 55 yards and a fucking touchdown. So you have to keep doing it.
And I wouldn't even say they did it last week because Daryl Johnston kept saying it. So I started to focus on it because Daryl Johnston kept saying that the Patriots got beat really badly the week prior on the outside.
Yeah,
so he kept saying they just need to get Swift outside. Daryl Johnston said this he said it once for every number or every digit on fucking Swift's jersey. But Swift finally hit one outside, and it was like, I think, like 14 yards. It was a first down. And then the next play, he goes outside, and Cole Kmet kind of gets pushed back, but sets an edge, and Swift
And he
decides to
cut it
go.
back inside. Yeah, I
And
remember
then
that.
it just never happened again, bro. So think about this. This is the Bears' thought process. Cole Kmet did make the block. He did set the edge, and DeAndre Swift did have room out there, and he
He
made
made
the
the
wrong
wrong decision.
choice.
Yeah.
So we're not calling that play again because it worked, but our guy did the wrong thing.
Instead
What the
of
fuck am I?
coaching our guy to do the right
Yeah,
thing
instead of saying, "Hey,
and
man,
running it
we're gonna go
again and
right
getting
back."
success.
Yeah, hey, we're gonna go right back to the outside thing this time. Just make sure you go outside. That's it.
Yeah.
Like we'll
Just
do
do
it
your
again.
job the way
And DeAndre
the way
Swift's gonna be
it's
like,
laid out
"Yeah, I
in
got
the
you.
play.
That's cool, man. Thanks."
Yeah, Swift seems very coachable, and from everything that's coming out since Waldron was released, he was letting shit slide. He wasn't holding players accountable. He wasn't,
Oh yeah, that was
make
Let's talk about that. You heard that? Was that Keenan Allen?
Keenan Allen. Yeah. He
Yeah,
said
who said
starting in training
he
camp.
was just too soft. Yeah.
Yeah, you could see where he started letting things go, is what he said, and then that leads to a slippery slope. Not holding guys accountable, letting them just kind of do what they want versus saying, straight up, like
Yeah,
DeAndre
there's
Swift, you should have kept running outside. We're gonna run that again, and this time, if you cut it back inside, you're not gonna see the field again. Just run the play the way it's designed. You got to
which
trust
is
the
even
player's
worse.
instincts,
Which is
but you
even
also have to
worse
coach
on
them.
Eberflus, man, because you're talking about a different disciplinary system for the players on his side of the ball versus the other guys, and that's bullshit. You can't suspend Tyreek Stevenson for a half and then bench him again. By the way, guys, in that Patriots game, Stevenson was benched, but
Well, he
you
deserved to
can't
be benched. He
you
wasn't
can't
playing.
sus- you can't suspend him for a half. And when Nate Davis just doesn't show up to practices and shit, he's a starter on this team week one. Like that is just so frustrating, man. And I have a feeling that Shane Waldron didn't get over on Nate Davis very much when I'm hearing that he's soft. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
And now the
is
guys,
it a
and now, and
coincidence?
think about this, Dustin. Shane Waldron's gone, and Nate Davis got cut.
That's
Did
what I was
Shane
just about to say.
Waldron have a
Is that a
voice?
coincidence?
Yeah, did he have a voice for Nate
Yeah.
Davis?
No,
Was there
it's
some
like
sort of defense?
the Bears just suddenly realized Nate Davis. We don't care about the cap hit we're gonna take. We need to just get him
Yeah,
gone
he's a
as
cancer.
soon
Yeah,
as
get him
they
out of here.
fucking let go of Waldron. I don't think that's a coincidence. No, I don't think it is. And at the end of the day, Nate Davis was brought here by Ryan Poles, so it is what it is. But they're making this decision now to cut ties with Nate Davis, and will it be the right decision? I don't, or is it too little, too late? Who knows? Like, this team is constantly playing catch up, Brandon. This team is
I think too
constantly
little.
playing catch
I
up with
think too little,
mistakes that
too
they've
late.
made in the past.
For sure, too little, too late, man. I said to you
Yeah,
guys in the text in the preseason, it's happening. I mean, last year, man, you had the death in the family. You had stuff going on. You had stuff that was excusable. I didn't say a word about it. I said I'd like to see this guy in practice. That was the
I
extent of
wasn't
what I
happy
said.
with him last year either
This
way.
year,
You got
I
to
said to you
perform on the
guys
field
before
to
this
get paid
season
to do that.
started. This year, before the season started, when I started reading this Nate Davis stuff all over again, man, I texted you guys, get this dude off the fucking football team, man. Now. Don't wait. And remember, Dustin, when I said this to you, I said this because me and Sean were going back and forth. I said to him, and you actually chimed in. He wasn't good.
No,
It's not like he came back in 2023 and was phenomenal. So when he pulled the bullshit again in 2024, it's like, well, he played really good. We should probably put up with this.
no.
There was nothing.
The only defense to retaining Nate Davis this whole time was the $11 million or whatever it was that he counts against the cap if you cut him.
Yeah, Ryan Poles' decision to keep him. But Matt
Mhm.
Eberflus needs to go to Ryan Poles and say, listen, man, I know this is going to hit us. It's going to hurt. But this guy sucks. And he's a
And
problem.
he's affecting
He's
our
like
culture.
bringing down morale
Yeah,
completely
yeah,
from
yeah.
left tackle to right tackle. This guy is affecting every person on this line.
And this
Gotta get rid of him.
release 100% backs the fact that was the case. Nate Davis was not good for
We
this locker
saw it,
room, was
dude.
not
You
good for this
saw it.
team.
You
Yeah,
saw it on the football team. And I guarantee you, man, if you could get somebody like Coleman Shelton or Darnell Wright into a private setting, a room with no windows or doors, and ask them, how much did that guy
what do
affect
you
your
want from
performance?
Coleman Shelton, Brandon? You trying to kidnap
How much
Bears
did that
offensive
guy
lineman?
affect your first 3 weeks on this team, Coleman? How much did Nate Davis affect your first 3 weeks here? He would tell you, I was constantly worried about what the fuck that guy wasn't doing. And remember how bad Coleman Shelton looked in the first 2 weeks? Like, I thought, like, oh my God, bro.
Yeah.
Bring
He's been
Lucas
one of the
Patrick
better
back.
linemen for them.
I was like, Lucas Patrick is better than this guy. And then they got rid of Nate Davis. They benched Nate Davis, and Shelton was like the guy we expected. You know what I mean? Not like a top tier center in this league, but like can just hold his own for a little bit. Like, and Nate Davis did that. Every single player on that line kind of had that boost in performance, man. I think every player's PFF score went up after Nate Davis was no longer there.
I want to stay on the topic of Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles, because we're talking about decisions that they have made that have impacted this team negatively. And we can look at the decisions they've made this week and say, all right, well, they're trying to fix some things, right? You can try to look at it. You can put a positive spin on it and say, well, Waldron was not cutting it, so
you
they
can
let
put a
him.
Band-Aid on a gun wound.
So they let him go. Nate Davis was not working out. He was not performing. He couldn't get on the field, so they let him go. But they made the choice to hire Waldron. They made the choice to sign Nate Davis and keep playing him, even though it was clear he was having a negative effect on the players around him. Now,
and he was telling you, go fuck yourself every day, dude. How do you? I said this to you guys. I can't believe like this is it's all come to fruition. It's amazing me even. I said to you guys, like, I think this guy is really his opportunity, or them being willing to give him a start week 1 after the bullshit offseason, does not send a good message to anybody on your football team, man. This guy wasn't there. He chose not to be. When he was asked why he wasn't there, he said, it's not my thing. And then he's there week 1 as a starter on your team. There's no way, man, that the other guys on this team
people
were
don't
like,
look at that and say,
like,
yeah.
And guys,
Where the
Coleman
fuck were
Shelton
you?
and Darnell Wright might be friends with this guy. They might still talk to Nate Davis and text him for the rest of the days. But there's no doubt on that football field that they were like, man, this fucking guy sucks. And he doesn't even practice. And that's why he sucks. Because he doesn't even show any effort. He doesn't show up for the stuff where it's like, we can get better without playing an actual game. You want to be here for that? No. Okay. It's voluntary. That's cool, man. Okay, well now it's mandated. You got to be here. Nah, I'm good. The guy's a fucking starter week 1, man.
I understand Nate Davis, good riddance, okay? But the bigger point here is that Shane Waldron's gone, and now players are saying he wasn't holding us accountable. He was soft on the players. And where does that go back to, Brandon? It goes back to Matt Eberflus. Yeah, how are you not making sure that your players are being accountable? Matt Eberflus is a defensive coordinator. He's focused on a game plan, installing a game plan, preparing his team to execute that game plan. And then on Sunday, he's focused on calling those plays for that game plan. He's not focused on overseeing his team. If Shane Waldron is letting shit slide, it's Matt Eberflus's job to say, dude, hold your fucking players accountable. Not just say, okay, the offense is yours. I'm going to focus on the defense, and we're going to be successful. That's not how it works. That's not how it works, and that's not what a head coach does. And Matt Eberflus is not accountability. A head coach. No, not a head coach.
No accountability either.
So these moves that they've made, the decision was all Matt Eberflus's to fire Shane Waldron. Well, dude, you hired him. You hired him. You hired Getsy last year. You fired multiple offensive coordinators in less than 2 years. You fired 2 offensive coordinators. So you're trying to make up for your mistakes. I'm not going to give you credit for firing Shane Waldron when you're the one that hired him. I'm not going to give you credit for taking. Hold on, let me make this point. I'm not going to give you credit for taking over the defense because you couldn't keep your defensive coordinator in the building for an entire season because he was on some weird shit. You hired that guy. You hired that guy. So we celebrated Matt Eberflus for getting the defense to rally after they got Montez Sweat once he took over play calling. But he took over play calling because of a bad decision he made in the first place. So you're chasing good after bad, and it doesn't work that way.
And then Dustin, he hired a defensive coordinator in the offseason that he's not willing to let call plays. It's like, wait, why'd you hire this guy? Like, he's good. Well, then let him call plays. Well, he's not that good. Like,
no.
What the fuck? So what
plays are mine. Plays are mine. I've said this from the beginning, man. Matt Eberflus feels like he can only show his value with the defensive play calling. I think that he got rewarded for that. He got rewarded for that, And so now he's like, well, I got to keep that going. So I'm going to hold on to this for dear life because it's the only thing that shows my value. When really you need to be a head coach overseeing your team, making sure things are being done right, making sure players are being held accountable and know and execute the game plan. And then during the game, you need to be able to see where I need to challenge, where I need to call a timeout, where I need to do these things that will be important to my team being prepared to be successful. But he's focusing on the game plan.
Pre-thought. That's
on
all
game,
pre-thought,
on
man.
calling the defensive plays. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for Matt Eberflus. Hey, it works for Andy Reid. Andy Reid can call the plays and still head coach a game and do it well. Matt Eberflus cannot. You can tell me that, well, these other guys do it. Well, those guys are really fucking good and been doing it for a long time.
And hold on, man. Andy Reid does not prefer to call plays. He does it because somebody's failing at his organization. That the only time Andy Reid's taken play calling was because somebody sucked. Now he's just in a position where he's like, I don't know if I trust somebody enough to give it away. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like,
but at the end of the day, Andy Reid's capable of it. He's shown that he's capable of it. Matt Eberflus is not. He shouldn't be calling defensive plays. This Sunday, he should.
Andy Reid is capable of it because Andy Reid hired good fucking coordinators, man. He doesn't have to worry about Steve Spagnuolo. You know what I mean? There's decisions that go through Andy Reid on defense for sure, 100%. But do you know how little Andy Reid probably has to worry about that fucking guy doing his job?
Steve Spagnuolo is one of the best.
We don't have to worry about him touching the female staff in the building. When we don't have to resign. We don't have to force him to resign because really he was fired. We don't. And man, you talk about having three offensive Matt Eberflus is the only head coach that had three offensive coordinators in the 3 years he's been here. He interviewed with phenomenal offensive coordinators, man. He didn't just have to fire the guys he hired. He passed up on guys that were proven better than the people he hired, man.
Brandon, more importantly, he passed up on guys who were proven better than him.
Dustin, you know what you talked about Jalen Carter?
Did you hear what I just said?
Yes, absolutely.
He passed up on guys who he was insecure about them outshining him and taking his fucking job.
That's why I'm going this way. We talked about Jalen Carter, and we just the importance, man, of a when something feels like this is too good. You know what I mean? You fucking take it. When Caleb Williams was when you had the first over, the Panthers pick just happened to be the first. Caleb Williams was there. You did it right when. There's another example of this where we felt, when you had a chance to
them not taking Jalen Carter, we already touched on it. That was their insecurity.
Jalen Carter. And then
that was their insecurities too. They couldn't coach him to be a better person or a better player. They didn't have the culture to bring him into where he could develop, basically. So they made a bad decision because they suck already.
Then you get an interview with Caleb Williams, quarterback coach, in the program he played at last. I mean, if there's a guy on this planet who knows what's going to make Caleb Williams be the best Caleb Williams can be, is it not fucking Cliff? You know how excited I was, Dustin, when I read that fucking interview was happening? You know how excited I was?
Yeah, I was too.
I was shitting myself.
I wanted Cliff Kingsbury.
And then I knew
it would be a great. Yep.
Then people were like, why are they flying to Kingsbury? Usually the coach comes to your building. I don't care. I was like, go there. Go to LA, go wherever this fucking guy needs you.
And don't come back unless you have him with you.
Bring him with.
Bring him back
gagged with you. And chained. Bring that fucking guy back.
But then it was reported, Brandon, that it was all just a big ploy for them to get information on Caleb Williams.
You're right. So now we find out, which is even worse, man. Think about this. We find out why they flew to Kingsbury instead of because they felt so guilty that Kingsbury might fly to Chicago just to find out he's not getting hired.
Yeah, for an interview that wasn't in good faith. Yeah, exactly. And that is so ass backwards. I can't even begin to comprehend it, Brandon. I really can't. I feel like we just did it pretty
because if you're thinking to yourself, man, I got to meet with this guy. You're thinking so badly. I got to meet with this guy. I got to talk to this guy because I want this Caleb Williams kid. How is it not connecting your brain?
He might be good for Caleb Williams.
I fucking want this guy. I want this guy because I want Caleb Williams. How is it not a pack? Dude, the fact that could have been a package deal and was just refused.
It was right in front of you.
Unreal. It's unreal, man. Yeah. It's not fathomable. It's really not.
So the Bears are in a terrible place, man. We just kind of broke down some of that. We're hoping Thomas-Brown can bring some energy and life to this offense, which has been lifeless.
Well, he certainly seems like a guy who holds people accountable for the body
Yeah, I don't.
language that I'm reading.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like if that guy was my boss,
I'd
I'd
pay
prefer
attention.
that guy be my
Yeah,
boss than Matt Eberflus. And you said this to me first. I've heard it from multiple people now when they talk about the Brown interview. Like he was more of a head coach than our. Like no, he really
mm-hmm.
is. It really is the way this guy carries himself. Like he should be
Yeah.
the fucking head coach of the Bears. Like you should just fired Eberflus and Waldron, and you should just let me run this whole fucking. You know what I mean? That's kind of.
Him and Eric Washington would have been a good combination, I think. Now, that being said, I don't think that the next Bears head coach is on this coaching staff in any kind of way. I don't think it's Thomas-Brown. I don't think it's Eric Washington. I don't think the next
you gotta wipe the slate clean, man.
A part of this staff at all. But yeah, Thomas-Brown definitely carried himself much better than Eberflus did in those press conferences yesterday, as far as I was concerned. And he did a very eloquent job of thanking Shane Waldron for what he did for him and just saying, now this is my job and I'm going to take it and run with it. And I do think he will run the football. Again, that's his background. That's where he comes from. So we will see a more intention when it comes to the run game this Sunday. That's going to happen for sure. But do we think that Caleb Williams is going to be put on the right track by Thomas-Brown? I think establishing the run game is a big part of that. So I'm expecting the offense to be better just from, the new coach syndrome, basically. Like this offense is going to respond to Thomas-Brown, I think. And I think that they will perform better than what they have. That's what I'm hoping for. But again, you can't bank on anything with this Bears team, man. We're going into the first divisional game of the season, and we just fired our offensive coordinator. And we have no faith in our head coach.
And my boss came up to me.
How do you really even approach this game as a fan? What do you even think about it? I don't even know where to start.
Well, I agree with you, Dustin. I do want to say this real quick. You mentioned to me in the text, so I think it's important to say on the show. Thomas-Brown thanked Shane Waldron on his way out the door, and there's an individual in this franchise, this organization, who didn't say a fucking word about it.
I went back and watched, and he did. He thanked him for his services, but he felt like he needed to move on. That's what Eberflus said. So he did mention it. It was very brief and right off the top. It didn't feel authentic, to be honest. It didn't feel like.
Of course, it's not.
He actually gave a shit.
He's scrambling, man. He's scrambling for whatever he can reach for to pull himself out of quicksand, man.
And could you imagine that being your boss in whatever place you go to work? Matt Eberflus running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to figure out how to make people like him.
No, I
could you imagine that?
Any business, man. So let's talk about this, man. When you're talking about Caleb Williams, let's you guys, everybody who's watching this show tonight and everybody who will has a job. If you showed up to a job and you were completely uninspired by the person in charge, not only uninspired, but that individual couldn't hold anybody who you worked alongside accountable for anything ever. And then you throw on top of that you get hit by a 280-pounder 9 times, at least once a week. How motivated how much are you going to care, man? Guys, have you ever had a job where you disrespect your leadership?
Caleb Williams gets paid pretty well to care.
I hate saying this because, I try to be the best employee I can be at any job, no matter what. But have you ever had a job where you're so discouraged by leadership, Dustin, that you just don't give a shit? You just don't fucking care anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And I've left those jobs, and I've gone to other jobs. But I have that choice. Caleb Williams doesn't really have that choice. Caleb Williams gets paid really well to care. That's part of his job. And I think he does a good job compartmentalizing that based on how he approaches things.
I think he's thrilled that Shane Waldron's no longer in the building.
No, yeah, for sure. And he should be. I think he should be. But I don't think any job that I've worked at, Brandon, and listen, I'm a leader in my buildings. I have been for a long time in the career that I do, that I perform. The best leaders I've ever been around in any capacity, their main focus is making everyone around them better at all times. That's really what it comes down to. Like, how can I help this person learn something new today? How can I help this person leave today feeling better than when they came in? Like, those are the best leaders in my mind. And that's the leader I try to be. If you're a head coach in the NFL and you're scrambling to save your job, how can you be focused on that? You just can't, because you're only focused on yourself. You become selfish, really, because you're trying to make it. And really what it's doing is taking away from what you should be doing, which is making the people around you better every day. I don't see how Eberflus could even focus on that, considering all the shit that's swirling around him right now. It's just not, I don't see how it's possible. If I was Eberflus, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I do want to say this, man, in regards to Thomas Brown. I don't know who this guy is. Sean's texting me his Panther stats. I don't care, man. Don't send me fucking Panther stats from last season with one of the worst football teams I've probably ever watched in my life.
Yeah, they were bad.
They
were really bad.
That team was terrible.
They still are.
I think when a guy who's with very little experience becomes the offensive coordinator of an NFL team and a play caller, I would imagine he's going to try to do simple more, right?
You would hope so. You would hope so.
Do the things that just the basics, man, the bare minimum. I actually get to use our name on the show, but just do that more. And people say like, do simple better. No, this Bears problem is just do simple more. Just do it more.
Do simple at all. Do it at all.
Do it fucking more. Yeah. Just do simple. Yeah.
Because they haven't been doing it. They haven't been doing it.
Thomas, don't make this harder than it needs to be. I mean,
no need to reinvent the wheel. No need to reinvent the wheel.
This guy's, man, put yourself in Thomas Brown's shoes. Hey, this guy Shane sucks, man. We got this first overall rookie quarterback. We got like 3 number 1 receivers. We got a running back that can break a 50-yarder any given play. We're gonna need you to run this thing moving forward. Like, yeah, all right. If you're Thomas Brown and you want to
twist my arm.
Yeah, you want to be a play caller in the NFL moving forward and make this right, man.
That would be that's a very good point, Brandon. I mean, he's just like a player in a prove it year, like a player on a prove it year trying to get a big deal. You know, they want to perform the best they possibly can to get the most money possible and get the best opportunity possible. Now, Thomas Brown has that opportunity in front of him, like you just said. If he rights this ship, he's going to be, walking on water to a lot of these NFL teams come this offseason.
Well, I'll be honest.
Maybe even the Bears.
I'll go far. I'll go deep in saying this, and I probably shouldn't. If that guy figured this shit out, like made Caleb Williams successful, when Shane Waldron was hired, and we all had positive vibes, the one thing that I was thinking, man, was like, man, it sucks if Shane Waldron does this right and Caleb succeeds. Shane Waldron's going to get interviews for a head coaching job. If Thomas Brown figures this out, might he get an interview for a head coaching job?
Yeah, and that's what people are talking about. Trax earlier on CSP had could Thomas Brown be a candidate for the Bears' next head coach? Like I said, I don't think that the next Bears head coach is on this roster, on this coaching staff. But if I were the Bears and Thomas Brown does turn this thing around, I would do everything possible to keep him here. Because what you're going to do more than anything, Brandon, is establish trust with Caleb Williams. If Caleb Williams starts performing better in this offense and the offense starts clicking on all cylinders, we literally have a secret Bajan man in the chat. They missed the best part of the show. But if Caleb Williams starts performing well in this offense and Thomas Brown is at the helm of that, the amount of trust you've now just earned with Caleb Williams is huge. There's no way I would let Thomas Brown leave if he does that. There's just no way. I would do everything I could to keep him here as my offense. Here's
the question, though, man. Does it come down to this? Does Poles feel like Thomas Brown changed this thing, but he needs to be the play caller? That's what did it. He cannot be the head coach. Does Flus have to stay if Thomas Brown succeeds in being your offensive coordinator of the future?
It depends on the level of that success. I mean, you're counting on a level of success that has you in playoff contention for Flus to stay. That's it. Period. End of story. This needs to be a massive turnaround. This team was 4-2. They're now 4-5. They've lost 3 in a row. And I mean, it all goes back to that Hail Mary, man.
And have 0 touchdowns in 2 games.
Yeah, man. But it all goes back to a defensive play where Eberflus should have had his team more prepared, and he didn't. And since then, they have been flailing. They had.
No, man. Hold on. I'm gonna combat this.
That is huge.
Combat this a little bit.
There's nothing to combat.
I had a buddy text me today that he thinks the Hail Mary is the match that lit this fire, and I gotta
It
disagree,
is.
man.
It
The
is.
bye week is the match that lit this fire because they came out against Washington flat, completely flat. For three
Okay.
quarters against Washington is the same team we've watched
But
against New
they had
England.
three
Same
scoring
team.
drives, Brandon. They had 3 scoring drives in that game.
Well, no, they didn't. They
One
had
of which they
two.
fumbled away with bad play
Yeah, they
calling.
had
But they
two
took
because
the lead in
that's
that game with
important to mention
26
that.
seconds left, Brandon. They took if they win that game, the momentum is completely different for them
Dustin,
going into the
did the
next week.
team that
Just
came out after the bye week look different to you than the team that played against Jacksonville the week before?
not necessarily, because the level of competition was raised so greatly in that game from the previous 2 games with the
Dude,
Panthers and the Jaguars.
this is why. How are you
It's
disputing this?
not,
This is
not
why.
even close.
This is why Shane Waldron was fired. He wasn't fired because the team sucked so bad after the bye week. He was fired because the team was really good before the bye week, and he couldn't keep that moving. Like he couldn't retain.
I think he was fired at the end of the day, Brandon, because of his processes or lack thereof, because of his lack of accountability, which players are now
You
commenting
think
on.
that team for the first 3 quarters that Washington game didn't look?
No, they looked like ass. They were awful.
You weren't thinking like, oh fuck, this bye week might have just derailed this.
No, they were awful. They were awful. But the Washington Commanders had a very good game plan for the offense. And what happened actually was they figured out how to move the ball on that Commanders offense in the fourth quarter. I'm just saying that if you win that game after figuring that out, after being shut down for 3 quarters, the whole vibe is very different going into the next week. It just is. Losing that game was the straw that broke the camel's back up to this point, because everything has come from that. Everything. Now, whether or not it was the offense sucking for 3 quarters or the Hail Mary play that lost them the game, one way or another, that game set the precedent for everything we've seen so far.
I just think.
Hold on, real quick.
I think Shane Waldron's plummet started after the bye week.
Well, obviously, but again, there were multiple factors that go into it, and I'm not just talking about Shane Waldron. I'm talking about this team. I'm not just talking about Shane Waldron.
But you're talking about that Hail Mary pass, man. The defense played really well last week against.
Listen, let's get this question answered for Secret Beja, man, since he's the only one in the chat. Thoughts on the idea of Chicago Bears head coach Cliff Kingsbury? Brandon?
No.
Yeah, I don't want it either. I mean, listen, I think Cliff Kingsbury is doing a very good job of exactly what you said, Brandon, doing simple for Jayden Daniels, making the game very simple for Jayden Daniels in that offense. But I think Cliff Kingsbury has shown us what he is as a head coach versus what he is as an offensive coordinator. I think he's a very good offensive coordinator. I don't know that he's a head coach in the NFL. I think he could be a head coach in college again, but he wasn't even that successful doing that, to be honest. I mean, I don't want the retread in that way from Cliff Kingsbury. And I just think and I've said this before, I think some guys are just really good offensive coordinators, but they're not meant to be head coaches. And I think Cliff Kingsbury falls into that category.
And I don't want a guy who's failed as a head coach before. I want a guy who's succeeded as a head coach before, man.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Vrabel is available. Mike Vrabel has shown that he can do this.
If you're going to hire a previous head coach, Secret Beja, man, if you're going to hire a former head coach in the NFL and you have Vrabel and Belichick on the line, you're going to interview Cliff Kingsbury?
Yeah, no. I mean, the Bears.
I would interview Zach Taylor if he's fired before I interviewed Cliff Kingsbury.
Kyle earlier texted the group text saying a lot of people are talking about this, Secret Beja, man. Our buddy Kyle, another host on the 4-Star Chicago Sports podcast. Yeah. Kyle, Brandon's twin brother. But he messaged that a lot of people are talking about it's very real, the hype around Cliff Kingsbury potentially being the head coach. And what I said was it's very Bearsy to me. It feels very Bearsy to me because they made a mistake of not actually interviewing him in good faith for the offensive coordinator position, which could have potentially led to the hire of him as the offensive coordinator, which would have been the right move. Instead, they made the mistake of not hiring him, not even giving him the time of day. And now that he's, being somewhat successful in Washington as an offensive coordinator, they want to get him as their head coach. That will fail. Look at Bears history, man. It's trying to fix the mistake. It's not going to work.
Overcompensation.
It's overcompensation. Yes, you're overcompensating for your mistake that you made in the first place. I think Cliff Kingsbury is very well adept at being an offensive coordinator. I think head coach, it's just over his head, man. That's what I think. But yeah, man, wherever this Bears season turned. It was definitely in that Commanders game, and I think it was a myriad of different things. But if Thomas Brown can turn this thing around, the amount of trust that he gains with Caleb Williams and this offense in general is just going to be huge, man. It's going to be huge to the point where you got to keep him in the fold, even if you're hiring a new head coach, I think. And I mean that, but then what does that come down to, Brandon? That comes back to all the shit that we've said before about, keeping a head, hiring a GM and telling them they got to keep the head coach, hiring a head coach and telling them they got to keep the offensive coordinator.
I don't know, though.
You got to hire a head coach and let them make their decisions.
This is a little different, man, because I agree with you. Like, let's say Thomas Brown did a good job and you keep him as offensive coordinator and you hire a head coach. You just had a defensive head coach. You hire a Mike Vrabel, you tell him you're the head coach, you're the coach of this defense. You oversee Thomas Brown this offense, but he's here to stay. Here's the question, Dustin. How many people how many potential candidates can you bring into this building when you're already as dysfunctional as you are and convince them that they could be the head coach of this organization while also telling them who they need to hire as their offensive coordinator? It's not.
That's not going to happen. If you're hiring a Vrabel, bud, it's he's going to make his own decisions. If you're hiring a Bill Belichick, he's going to make his own decisions. If you put yourself in those shoes, if you're applying for a head coaching job and one organization tells you, hey, Dustin, you can be our head coach, we're going to hire your coordinators for you, and then another team is offering you a job where you can have full reins, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? If Thomas Brown figures this shit out and they say to him, hey, man, you can stay here and be our offensive coordinator, and then they say to Vrabel, you can be our coach and he can be your offensive coordinator, either one of those positions, whether it's the head coach interview or Thomas Brown, you're going to fucking leave. Thomas Brown's probably going to be. Brandon, you all right, bud?
Yeah, my phone keeps falling out of my. I'm wearing pajamas, man. My phone keeps falling in my pocket.
Usually, are you even wearing pants at all? Are you sure you're wearing pants?
I'm wearing pants with tacos and hot sauce on them. It's pretty cool, I'll be honest. But if Thomas Brown does succeed, Dustin, he's going to get a head coaching interview, and he's not going to stay with the Bears because of loyalty, because Matt Eberflus is such a bitch.
No, listen, Matt Eberflus, I think, is gone. I don't think Thomas Brown sticks around if you're going to be hiring a new head coach, to be honest. I think they got to make the best of this situation with what they have for the rest of the season, and the whole sole focus needs to be Caleb Williams. We got Secret Bajan, man, saying Bajan is a top 32 NFL quarterback. Don't at me. So what is Caleb Williams? Is he a top 44 quarterback? Where do you think Caleb is that suggesting Bajan is better than Caleb Williams and he should be starting over him, which I suspect it is. In that case, where is Caleb Williams rank currently? I mean, I don't know that Tyson Bajan is a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. I don't know that he's shown enough to where you can even say that with any real evidence, to be quite honest. It's all speculation, which makes it an easy argument to have. You don't really have a lot to back it up or to disprove it. So you can say it and it just stays out there because there's not really a way to dispute it or, further your point. It's just it's just speculation. Right now we're watching Caleb Williams in this offense. And Caleb Williams is being put in a lot of bad positions. And I don't think Bajan, given the way this offense has been running, there's no way Bajan would have been done better in my mind. There just isn't. I don't know what quarterback would have.
And you're talking about how many interceptions does he have? 5? Tyson Bajan?
I don't know Tyson Bajan's stats off the top of my head.
I believe he had like 3 he had 3 in the game against the Saints. So I believe it's 5. I believe he has 5 interceptions. So Tyson Bajan in half the games as Caleb Williams has the same amount of turnovers.
I like my backup quarterbacks to be backups. I don't like my backup quarterbacks to be starters.
Quarterback to be a backup. Man.
That's what I'm saying. Tyson Bajan is the backup quarterback, and I like exactly where he's at. I don't want to see him on the field. Now, hey, I could be wrong. Listen, Tyson Bajan seems like a great guy, like you said. Got through all of his adversity to get to where he is, and he should be commended for that. Talent-wise, it's just not really a conversation.
It's not even no.
So we got the Bears versus the Packers this Sunday at noon. Last I looked, the Bears were 6.5-point underdogs. Is that accurate? It's not looking good in terms of what the odds makers think, what Bears fans think in general. The Packers seem to be a much better team in every possible way. The Bears are now 5.5 point underdogs at home. So, usually you get 3 points just for being at home. So if you add that to it, they're really 8.5 point underdogs in this game at home, where the Bears had been pretty good up until this past Sunday, where they laid a complete egg against the Patriots. This Packers rivalry,
really the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, this Bears-Packers rivalry goes back to 1921. Packers lead the all-time series 107-95, 6 ties. We know all the stories about it. But it's a rivalry that the Packers have owned. They didn't take a lead in this series until the 2010s, and now they have 12 wins more than the Bears in this rivalry. So they've been kicking our ass, and we've just been wanting a win against the Packers. And we felt like it was a possibility coming into the season, and especially at 4-2. And now the Bears have lost 3 in a row, complete turmoil in the building, and we're going into this week thinking the Bears don't stand a chance, right, Brandon?
No, they do.
Oh, they do.
They always do.
They always do. They didn't on Sunday against the Patriots. They didn't stand a fucking chance in the world. They didn't. No matter what they did, they could not do shit.
Their defense will always limit teams, man.
The defense still held the Patriots to 19 points in that game. The defense still held up.
That's enough to win.
They held up enough to win if you have a competent offense. So then for the Bears to have a chance in this game, Brandon, it's all about Thomas Brown, what he implements, and how he changes how this offense approaches a game, right?
Yeah, man, I didn't even want to do this, man, because we're going to say the same shit. It's a broken record, guys. The key to winning this football game is running the fucking ball.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't change. It's which is why, guys. This is why I have faith in Thomas Brown. Is there any possible way, Dustin, that this organization has 2 people on the same roster that are as fucking dumb as Shane Waldron is?
2 people on their coaching staff. Well, if Thomas Brown is, now they only have 1 because they got Shane Waldron's not on the staff anymore.
I mean,
but I don't know. I don't
that this guy's just as dumb. I mean, it's
pretty low.
Dude, it's glaringly obvious.
Let's I agree. Let's get into the injury report for this game real quick, please, because some big news today. We've been touching on the Brisker thing every week. It's very concerning. It hasn't played footballs since October 7th, October 6th, whatever it is, against the Panthers. They put him on IR today. It's been 4 weeks, hasn't played. Now we got at least another 4 weeks. And I think Brisker's season might be done, man. I think that might be what's best for him. I think that's what I would do if I was him. I would sit this thing out and try to figure out if my head's okay, because he's had 3 confirmed concussions with the Bears since he's been on this team, and this one's held him out a long time. He cannot get out of protocol, and a lot of people are asking why would they not have done this sooner. Head injuries are very hard to deal with, man. You kind of keep hoping that the symptoms subside and they stay away. And that just hasn't been the case. So, I mean, I don't really fault the Bears. There's a lot to fault the Bears for. I don't really fault them for trying to hold on to hope that Brisker could come out of that protocol, because nobody knows shit about this. Your head injuries are very, very mysterious, and they affect everybody differently. But Hicks is going to be the starting strong safety for this team for probably the rest of the season. He's coming off of his best game. 87 PFF grade. So I was very impressed with him in that game, Brandon. So I'm feeling decent about Hicks, honestly. But it sucks for Jaquan Brisker to see that he went.
Think about being Jaquan Brisker, man. God, I mean, the thing you love to do most versus your well-being. And on top of that, it's like the guy's got more concussions than seasons at this juncture, man. I mean, I think if I'm Jaquan Brisker and they tell me it's time to hang it up, I think I'm hanging it up.
Yeah, and that's his decision to make, obviously. I mean, in this situation, once you're in protocol, you have to get out of it, and he just hasn't. And
no, that's what I meant to say, man. This poor guy, think about it. Every week he's trying to get back in the field. Mm-hmm. If he's not, and he's now on IR, this guy's head is fucked up.
This is very serious. This is very serious, and it could be like you said, a career ender. That's something that everybody needs to kind of come to grips with and understand that Brisker's career is on the line with this. So I hope he gets better because, he's a young kid. You love to watch him play. He plays hard. He was having his best season of his career this season. So it's a tough beat for the Bears. But like I said, Elijah Hicks has performed admirably. So hopefully he can continue that. Did not participate today were Karan Amagaji and Tevin Jenkins. Now, it's 2 days in a row for both of those guys. We said on Monday, potentially we could see what we wanted this offensive line to be going into this season, and I didn't think that would happen. Tevin Jenkins is probably not going to play on Sunday, guys. 2 DMPs in a row. I mean, it'll come down to tomorrow, but it's not looking good. It looks like Tevin Jenkins is going to be out for this game on Sunday. So
well, they definitely have players they're anticipating not playing because after they cut Nate Davis, they signed a center.
Jake Curran. Jake Curran. Yeah, well, they brought him up off the practice squad, right? And he could potentially end up starting at left guard. Who knows how that goes? Limited participants. These are 2 big ones: Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright. Obviously, we just played this past game without our 2 starting tackles. That's a tough hill for any NFL team to climb. Any team at all on any level to miss your 2 best talents at your tackle positions. So them playing is great. Montez Sweat was limited. Tavarius Moore limited in concussion protocol as well. Darrell Taylor and Noah Sewell. So a lot of the same guys from last week, but these guys are actually participating this week a little more. So that's a positive sign. It looks like we're going to have at least our 2 starting tackles this week, and Montez Sweat, who couldn't get back, who was so hurt he couldn't get back on defense to avoid a offsides penalty on a hurry-up play, man. I mean, hopefully he's back to full health, but it didn't look like it on Sunday, man. It really didn't. So, and then when you look at the Packers injury report, it's looking really good for them. Jordan Love has been a full participant. It looks like they're going to have all their players, man, and they're bringing who's the running back? Lloyd out of USC. It looks like he's coming off of IR as well.
Marshawn Lloyd,
yeah. So it's a bunch of good news for the Packers in terms of their injury report. Not as good for the Bears, but Wright, Sweat, Jones, hopefully play this Sunday, and that'll make a big difference in this game. It really will. So, but it doesn't look like Tevin Jenkins is going to play, and he's been the best offensive lineman when he's healthy for this Bears team. So that makes a huge difference as well. I'm not sure how the Bears offensive line is going to perform with those 2 tackles starting in this game, man. To be honest, Rashawn Gary is a really tough pass rusher, and I think he might have a very good game this Sunday, regardless of who's playing. So that's the injury report. Not looking the greatest for the Bears. Some positive stuff, but also some negative stuff. The Packers are going to come into this game pretty healthy. 5.5-point favorites on the road. That's concerning for a Bears fan, right?
Yeah, nothing should.
What feels good? What feels good?
Nothing should justify any kind of positivity about this game. Like, there's nothing that should lead a fan to believe that the Bears are going to win this football game.
What is there to feel good about, Brandon, going into the Sunday? Give somebody some kind of semblance of hope for this Sunday.
Thomas Brown's the play caller, man. Maybe they run the football.
And another way to word that is Shane Waldron is not the play caller. You could say chimpanzee is the play caller, and I'd feel better going into the Sunday. Is it a chimpanzee? You could say you could say.
I'm not going to connect the joke I was making. I'll leave it alone. Anyways,
probably shouldn't have made it in the first place.
Racist jokes are funny, Dustin. Thomas Brown is the only thing that brings me any kind of hope, man. Can Caleb Williams? Well, really, it's Caleb Williams. Can Caleb Williams play better under Thomas Brown? I'm going to say this, man. Caleb Williams has been. I was thinking about it today, and I'm reading these stats about his percentages over 15-yard and passes over 15 yards. It's discouraging, man.
What's up, Bruce? Thanks for joining us with that like button.
What's going on, Bruce? It's getting bad. You got to fix this quick. Caleb Williams cannot keep getting worse week by week. This is the Bears' gravest concern.
Yeah, man. That's what there is to have hope in. That Thomas Brown is going to implement a game plan that is simple, that is run heavy, that is quick pass game heavy, and that is designing receivers to get open quickly. One read for Caleb, get the ball out of your hands because your offensive line obviously it's not been good. And quick pass game is going to get him in rhythm. It's going to protect him from hits, and it's going to get him in rhythm for when you do establish that run game, then you can hit that team on the other side of you with a play action and then take your deep shot while he's in rhythm. Everything has been so like out of rhythm this entire stretch of terrible offense. Like nothing builds off of the last play. It's all been so disjointed. That's going to be the hugest thing for this Sunday is can Thomas Brown establish a simple game plan that can build some rhythm, and we can see Caleb Williams show some signs of what we saw against the Panthers and the Jaguars. Because if the Bears lose this game and Caleb Williams plays well, I'll be pretty happy about that, to be honest.
Me too. Yeah, I was going to say that.
Pretty happy about that. If the Bears win this game and Caleb plays shitty, I don't know how I'll feel about that. I'll feel okay. I'll be happy with the win, beat the Packers. That's great, man. But the focus for the rest of this season has to be on Caleb Williams improving on the things that he's not doing well and the Bears doing the things that they need to do to make that easy on him. That has to be the focus of the rest of the season. Obviously, a win will feel good no matter what, man. But I really want to see Caleb Williams show out a little bit in this game. I think we need to see that as Bears fans to get some more confidence in the decision making of this franchise. Because if they made the decision to draft Caleb Williams and then they make the decision this week to fire Shane Waldron and replace him with Thomas Brown, you want to see those two things marry together and show some positive results to reinforce that maybe this team has some fucking idea about what they're doing. Maybe, hey, they made some mistakes, but they've done some things to fix those mistakes, and look at it paying off with Caleb Williams performing, in a competitive game. That's I feel like that's the best you can hope for as a Bears fan going into this game.
Yeah, I just want to see this guy get back on track, man. He finished the game before the bye week. He had 4 touchdowns. The game before that, he had 300 yards. I want to see this guy get back to playing modern day football and not 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, because we saw the effect that can have on a defense, even when they're good. You know what I mean? It's just the Bears need to move the chains. Like, if Thomas Brown, if this team comes out and on the very first offensive drive of the game scores a touchdown for the first time this season, I'll already feel better about this guy, man.
Yeah, for sure. No, so would I, but like I'm not banking on that. I'm really not. Here's a question. Here's a question based on what you just said. How many points does this Bears defense need to hold this Packers team to for the Bears to win this game?
3.
They can win 4-3, 2 safeties. 3. No, realistically, honestly, like what your expectations are of this offense, and we're at home, and the Bears defense kind of holds up its end. What does that look like to you from a fair expectation?
I think they need to score at least 20 points, man.
So 20 points or less for the Packers it gives you a competitive chance at this game. That's what you're expecting from the defense.
I do think there's a possibility of the Bears defense scoring a touchdown in this game. This guy gives the ball away at a pretty high rate.
Jordan Love, yeah, man. Jordan Love's going to play, and Jordan Love loves to throw the ball to the other team, man. He really does. So, like, that could be one thing that can turn this game on his head. I didn't do it on purpose, just for the record. It wasn't a thought in my head, but it worked out really well. Better to be lucky than good.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield may feel the call this Sunday.
Yeah, it didn't feel as organic as mine, man.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was very much pre-thought.
So, yeah, Jordan Love, with his propensity to turn the ball over, that could make a difference in this game. And if this Bears defense, the only thing, my biggest concern for this Bears defense, man, is like Are they just giving up because they've been asked to do so much so far throughout this season and they're not seeing the results of their hard work? Like, as you start getting into this point in the season, man, and you're busting your ass and you feel like you're doing your job and you're doing it really well, but then you're still losing, you're still not seeing the fruits of your labor, that can really start to wear on you in anything that you do. So that's my biggest concern with this Bears defense is just like, okay, what's the point? If our offense can't move the ball, what are we even trying for? Like, if we can't score 6 points, how are we going to have a chance at winning a game? So that's my biggest concern. And obviously that's tied hand in hand with the fact that Eberflus is the head coach. And it seems like this locker room is quitting on him. It really does. And he's the defensive play caller. And this defense gets to deal with him more than anybody. So is he on top of his shit? Is Eberflus on top of his shit going into this game? Or is he just super focused on how he's going to keep his job and how he's going to keep that nice house in Lake Forest or Lake Bluff or whatever? So, I mean, like, this Bears defense
is that really
has
where
to
he
come to
is?
play. I'm pretty sure that's where all Bears head coaches end up living. I'm pretty sure on Hard Knocks they said it was Lake Forest. It looked like it was Lake Forest. It was right on the lake there. But I mean, shit, it's a great place to live. You don't want to lose that house. You don't want to move your family. So, like, Flus has a lot on his mind, man. Can he put all that to the side and get this team prepared? I said it to you last night, man. Is this team about to sack up or pack up? Are they going on vacation already, or are they actually going to come to play? I really thought that this team had grit. I feel like I was very wrong about that based on what I've seen the last few weeks. I mean, I would love for them to prove me wrong, though. I would love for them to come out and say, hey, this is our season right here, because I felt like it's been their season on the line in the last couple of games, and I feel like the season's done. I feel like it's dead. I feel like they let it die. So do they keep playing? Do they play hard for this coach and for this franchise that seems to be putting everybody in tough positions on the football field, man? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to. Are they already on vacation in their minds? They're already looking to next year. We're looking to next year, Brandon. We're already talking about it. All of us as fans. Is this Bears team going to stay focused on the task at hand and just do their job and play competitive fucking football? That's all I want to see. I don't care if they win or lose. If they play their asses off and give me something to cheer for, something to root for, something to like take some pride in when I'm watching it, I'll feel better than I have for the last few weeks, because they haven't given us that. They haven't given us that as fans.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't embarrass us, you know what I mean? If this team's, even if they lose, if they're in the game in the final drive of the fourth quarter, that's something, right? I'm just
It
tired of being
is, considering that you
embarrassed,
just
man.
got destroyed by
We're
the
just
Patriots at home.
we're just embarrassed all the time. I just don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to walk out into public in a Bears apparel and think like, who's going to give me shit today? Because that's just a thing, man. Like it literally is. I wore a
Yeah.
Bears sweatshirt to work. I got it from every angle, and it's just like, man, can this team? Can I be
You're
able?
really
Can I feel
wearing that
comfortable?
today after what you saw yesterday?
Yeah. Like, can I feel comfortable just putting on a Bears sweatshirt and going to fucking work, man? Like,
You're like, I'm up here. I'm up here.
yeah.
I'm up here. Listen, man, that's all I want to see from this team.
Misogynistic prick.
That's all I want to see from this team. Competitive spirit. Just play the game hard, and go out there and fucking act like you're playing against a team that you hate, man. Xavier McKinney's out here talking shit about DJ Moore. He really just is. I mean, I guess DJ Moore made a comment in the offseason about he was asked about the improvements that the teams in the NFC North have made on defense, and he was basically like, what improvements, or who have they added? And Xavier McKinney takes that very personally, and he believes DJ Moore quit on that play where he walked off the field. I mean, there's going to be some bad blood in this game, and he called him out for it. He said cap. That's cap in his mind, that DJ Moore was injured on that play. He just thinks he quit on that play. So there's going to be some shit talking. There's going to be some bad blood, and hopefully the Bears just don't wilt under that. Hopefully they step up to it and say, listen, we're an NFL team too. We get paid too. We're talented too. This is a very talented football team. That's what's most frustrating for all of us as Bears fans, is it's the most talent we've seen collected on this team in a while, and then these are the results we get. So, I mean, listen, it just comes down to do you want to win this football game? Do you still give a shit about this season? And do you want to keep getting embarrassed? The Bears players have to be embarrassed too. Talk about going outside in a Bears sweater. What about going outside with Montez Sweat's face? like, dude, you couldn't get back from that to avoid that offside call, man. Come on, man. Like, these guys have pride too. I just want to see it and let the cards fall where they may. I don't. Usually we break down these games, Brandon, by statistics. What statistics are in favor of the Bears?
We opted not to do that today, guys.
What statistics are in favor of the Bears going into a matchup? What statistics are not in favor of the Bears going into a matchup? I mean, here, I'll tell you this. Most of the statistics are not in the Bears' favor in this matchup. But at the same time, it's a divisional game, so those statistics don't mean shit. And the Bears just made a huge change in their coaching staff going into this game. So what their offense was versus what it could potentially be are two different things, I think, because we understand the talent on this offense. There is talent on this offense. Maybe not on the offensive line, but and everywhere else, major talent.
There's heart, man. There's heart on this team, and they don't want to lose in their house to their greatest rival. These guys don't want to lose this football game.
That being said, every Bears team that's lost to the Packers over the last 8 years has not wanted to lose to them.
Who knows?
Hey, Kyle Harris checking in. The Bears still suck. The Bears do suck. Yes. I mean, listen, we're going into this game on a whim and a prayer. We're hoping that the changes that have been made in Howes Hall take effect on the football field this Sunday. I mean, I don't have any faith in it. It's hope. It's blind optimism with absolutely nothing to support it. There is no reason to support this team. They haven't given us shit, man. They haven't. This game could be a very lopsided affair, Brandon. It really could. We're literally just hoping that it's competitive. That's what we're saying, right? We're just talking about, will the Bears compete in this game? So, Harris, yeah, you're right. The Bears do still suck. Hoping that they change that. I mean, going to 5-5 is – yeah.
Fuck you, Kyle. I know, Kyle. For everybody watching.
Going to 5-5
it's not. There's no, like I said, man, there's no reason, if you're a Bears fan, no reason to think that the Bears are going to come out any differently or win this football game. If we're going to do score predictions, you're not going to like it from either of us. I'm going to tell you this right now. If the Bears come out in the first quarter and don't score points, this is the same football team you've watched for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, we're an hour and 40 minutes into this. What else is there to discuss? What are we missing?
Not much, man. We kind of killed it. We did the...
Did we kill it? I feel like we sucked ass, to be honest.
Really? I feel like we killed it tonight.
Okay, very good. Harris does think they will compete in this home game. I don't know. Maybe I always feel a lot better when the chat is in here and involved. You know, I know it's tough with everybody late.
You kind of came in here with a grim mood, man. You were all who's shitting your cereal today when you logged on tonight.
Shut up. No, I'm not. Yeah. I'm in a great mood. I've been working out, man. I feel good.
Dustin down.
No, you're projecting. You're projecting, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're projecting. You're projecting your Debbie Downerness onto me, and that does not exist.
Oh, I'm not Debbie Downer.
Listen. How could you be in a positive mood about to talk about this Bears-Packers matchup after everything we've seen as Bears fans?
We got to be, man. That's what we're paid to do.
No. I'm not getting paid. Are you getting paid?
That's why CHGO can't say a negative word about a single Bears.
Listen. It's not going to be a good look, I don't think. Like I said, we're just hoping for competitiveness. We're just hoping for some glimmer of hope with Caleb Williams in terms of his performance and how he plays. Like we said, we'll be happy if Caleb Williams performs really well in a losing effort. We will, because the performance we've seen in the last few weeks, it doesn't warrant.
Very discouraging. Yeah.
It doesn't warrant the expectations we had for Caleb Williams coming into this season, man. And you just want to see it actually work. Us as Bears fans have seen these quarterbacks come and go and fail miserably repeatedly. We just need to see that be different more so than anything else in my mind. That's how I
we'd
feel.
also love for once in a while, man, for an offensive coordinator to be able to identify a quarterback's strengths and maybe exploit them a little bit. I would love
You
to
mean
see
like
that.
Luke Getsy?
Yeah, because that's just
Like Matt
not
Nagy?
here. Yeah, we just don't do that here. We don't care. They could be
Like Mike
you could be
Martz?
Justin Fields. You can run the fastest 40 time of all quarterbacks in history. We're not going to run. That's not a thing. It's just this stuff's got to stop, dude. Doing this stuff. It just, dude. Like I said, man, is there any possible? Dustin, talk me off the ledge. Is there a chance that Thomas Brown is as
I'm a
stupid?
Debbie Downer, Brandon. Can't talk.
Is as stupid as you know what? Don't be down about it, man. People, that's not how you talk somebody off. You're not the negotiator. That's clear.
No. Listen, if you were about to jump off of the fucking ledge,
I just did.
They would. Yeah. If they sent me up there, I'd be like, "Why don't you just do it, man? There's no point, anyways.
You're only one step away."
Caleb Williams is a bust. This Bears franchise doesn't know how to hire a head coach. This Bears franchise doesn't know how to develop a franchise quarterback. We will never have it in our lifetimes. So you might as well fucking jump. I'll jump with you. I'll Mel Gibson you. I'll fucking handcuff you to me, and I'm like, you want to jump? Let's jump.
We're just kidding, guys. Nobody jump. Nobody do that. It's just a joke. But is there any possible way, man, Thomas Brown is as stupid as Shane Waldron is when it comes to just doing the obvious?
No way. I don't think so. But here, I mean, my biggest concern with that is have the habits already been set for this team? You know what I'm saying? Is it too much to overcome in that regard, like the work ethic or the how DJ Moore and Keenan Allen run their routes? You know, like it's in a lot of plays, it didn't look like they were running them with any type of intensity. I mean, Daryl Johnston called out the Cole Kmet route where he didn't sell it. He just kind of ran it like he was going through the motions, and the defensive back for the Patriots was easily able to defend that pass because of that. Like are those things cemented already this season with this team to where Thomas Brown can't overcome those things? I don't think it's really a thing of coming up with this awesome game plan that's going to blow your socks off, man. I think it really comes down to inspiring this team to want to do, like you said, the simple shit really well, to just dive into the details and get excited about scoring a touchdown. That's really what it comes down to for me. But there's no way he can be worse than that.
Okay, so there's one thing I want to talk about. This is not something that can be measured on paper. I don't know how much of an effect it actually has, but I will say this.
Is that what you say before you go into the bedroom?
I don't know which comes before. I don't know if it's the chicken or the egg, but it seems like when the Bears are having fun, like when Caleb's smiling on the sideline and having fun, he's playing good football, man. His face on that sideline Sunday against that Patriots team was so dude, that guy looked like me watching the game. I mean, I was on my couch like, and then they show an interview of Caleb Williams next to Waldron. He's like, I was like, oh Jesus, bro, this guy feels how I feel. Hopefully that means something, man. Like he feels.
No, it means something to every team in the NFL if you're having fun playing the game. Like you said, it didn't look like they were having very much fun. I don't know how you could have any fun if you're allowing 9 sacks. That's just impossible. it's impossible. So the key to that is going to be protection, Brandon. It still is. If this offensive line can't hold up enough to where we can at least get the quick passing game going, it's going to be more of the same. But what it comes down to for me is, do they lean into that quick pass? Because I don't want to see Caleb Williams taking 7-step dropbacks for the first half of this game. I really don't.
7 sacks. Yeah.
I don't think. I think it should be 3 steps, 5 steps max. Get the ball out of your hands. That has to be the approach they take to this game. And if Thomas Brown is competent in any kind of way, which we shouldn't expect from this Bears team at all, competency, we should not expect that. But if he is competent,
think about it. This guy, This guy was
You should
interviewed
see
for the
that.
offensive. Wasn't he interviewed for the offensive coordinator position?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah.
He didn't get it, so
Yeah.
well, maybe that means
He's
good
got it
things.
now.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's like maybe he's like Kingsbury. Like, nah, this guy's make any sense, but it makes total sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the Bears are backwards on
Yeah,
everything. Like
yeah,
whatever your initial gut reaction is, do the opposite of that, and
yeah,
maybe you'll actually
yeah.
find some success.
Yeah. Well, like Shane Waldron,
Uh,
Matt
nah,
Leverflus.
yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
says Matt Eberflus, and I think that's stupid.
I mean, Eber. I've seen the
Matt
Eber
Matt
lose.
Matt Lever. I say Matt Leverflus. That's because Eberflus is dumb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he should leave, but right now he's still our head coach, and that's got to be your biggest concern going into this game, in my mind. It
No, it's my
have they
biggest
quit on him?
concern for my personal future. I'm applying for the Bears head coaching job. Yes, I don't know, man. It's not good. It probably won't get better now. This is a tough to expect. If you're a Bears fan and you're thinking like, "Oh, they fired Shane Waldron," like this is the wrong week to expect good
This
things.
Packers secondary is really good.
Yeah,
This Packers
you're about to get into some pretty hairy territory. Hey, did you see that Harry Douglas is doing a razor commercial? I thought that was awesome.
no, yeah, no, listen, I've said it from the
That's
beginning.
amazing. What?
Harry Douglas. Harry Douglas is the best name for your genitalia that you could ever have. My Harry Douglas. We're about to get in some hairy territory, you said. That's what she said.
My Harry
Um,
Douglas.
the Bears are going to lose this game, guys. I think that's where we're going with this. I hope it's competitive. Kyle Harris thinks that they'll compete in this home game. I don't have as much faith as you do in that, Kyle Harris, which is funny because we're the Bears fans and you're the Packers fan. But it's going to be a tough game to win. Like you said, this Packers secondary is really good. So I don't know about the passing game taking off. If the Bears can establish the run and lean into it and make it easy on this offensive line and make it easy on Caleb Williams, they'll stand a chance. It's the same story as it has been. It's just, do we have a different
and
person
can he get
reading the book?
can you get 3-4 yard passes, man? Can you pick up chunk plays by just getting rid of the ball quickly? You know what I mean? Can Thomas Brown figure out how to get the ball out of Caleb Williams' hand because of the lack of protection he has, while also getting first downs? It's like because you've got some really quality receivers on this football. I don't give a fuck who the
They're
Green
not
Bay
just
second.
quality receivers, Brandon. They're quality after the catch.
Yeah, I
They
don't
can
care who
make
the
people
Green Bay
miss.
secondary is
They can
because
make
these guys are
plays
better.
after they catch the ball.
DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roman Dunze are better than the three guys that the Packers are going to put out there. There's no doubt about that. It's can you actually exploit that? Can Thomas Brown figure out a way to jam DeAndre Swift down the throat of whoever it is we play while also exploiting the fact that the receivers are obviously better across than whoever is across? It doesn't matter. Unless it's the Bears secondary, it doesn't matter.
Well, here it comes down to this, Brandon. Can Caleb make the throws? Say Thomas Brown does all that. He establishes the run game. He starts designing these receivers open to get them the ball in space to where it's an easy 5-yard, 6-yard throw, but then they can turn it into a 10, 15-yard game because they're so good after the catch. Can Caleb make the throws? Because right now that should be in question,
Can
Brandon.
he make
It is.
5-yard throws? I hope so.
No, but he's missed them. He missed them in this last game. He did. He missed multiple throws.
Yeah, I mean, I think his deep passing is more concern than
No, he missed multiple easy ones too, Brandon. He did. So
Well, so
say Thomas.
I answered you, Dustin. Can Caleb Williams make screen pass? Yeah, I think he can. I think he'll be all right with that.
We've seen a couple times where Caleb Williams has just held onto the ball on a screen where he should have let the ball go and taken a sack.
I think the difference, man, I will not wager from how I feel about Caleb Williams. And yes, the Bears are a bad organization, and yes, the Bears might ruin him. I believe right now, Caleb Williams is the guy who I thought he was 3 years ago when I wanted him to eventually be on the Bears.
I
And
believe that too, but he's had a lot of rough experiences here in the last few weeks. So it's just like, is he
yeah,
is
but
he
he's a no quit, no bullshit kind of guy, man.
he needs to
He's
be.
gonna
He needs to be.
if he
He has
goes out there, he's he knows, man. He's talking that offensive line. He's probably telling these guys, man, if you just give me a few seconds, just give me a few seconds, give me something, I'll take
Okay.
care of the
But then
rest.
if I'm that offensive lineman, I'm gonna say, okay, I'll give you a couple of seconds, few seconds, but get the ball out of your fucking hands. Get the ball out of your hands and make the throw.
Well,
I'm gonna say that right
I
there.
don't think offensive linemen's saying that. It's not a good look for an offense. I'll give you
No, you
a
don't know.
half a
You
second.
should. You should.
I'll give you
Caleb,
less than a couple
Caleb.
of seconds in the NFL is like a good offensive line. That's what I'm saying to you. Is like Caleb's probably telling these guys, just be good, just protect, man.
Okay, but
And
again, you put that right back on Caleb. Okay, well, you got to come through on your end too. We've seen him not do that. And there's a myriad of factors that have led to that: the play calling, the protection, the route running, all these things that come into play when it comes to Caleb making the play. But
okay,
Caleb still needs to make the play, Brandon. It
so
still needs to happen.
so do you have a concern personally that Thomas Brown will fix this, but Caleb Williams isn't the guy?
No, I don't. But I think that has to be a part of the conversation. That's all I'm saying. I think Caleb Williams is the guy. I think the Bears drafted the right guy, and I think that will be proven out over time.
We've
But I
seen it,
also
Kyle. We've seen it. I've seen it. I don't care what Bill Belichick's. Let me say this. I love Bill Belichick. He's a great NFL coach, the best that ever did it, as far as I'm concerned. But
as far as everyone's concerned,
Bill Belichick's quarterback analysis is not something I take to the grave with me. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, if Bill Belichick said to me, don't draft that guy, it would lead me to be more inquired to draft that guy. That's how I feel about Bill Belichick's quarterback analysis, to be honest with you. Like, that's honestly,
didn't he
that's
draft Tom Brady in the 6th round?
not really, but like,
yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
but did he also not take like Castle and
Well,
Brissett
did he also not take Brady in the 1st round? Did he also not take Brady in the 1st round?
Okay, so we're going to talk about. So he's probably taken 10 quarterbacks over the course of his coaching career. We're going to talk about Tom Brady, and then we're going to talk about the other 9. And if I say those names to you guys, you're not going to know them. That's the problem. Is the Brian Hoyers and Jimmy Garoppolo's of the NFL didn't make it, Bill. So I'm sorry if your assessment over Caleb Williams.
They weren't
isn't
drafted to
heartfelt.
make it. Brandon, they weren't drafted to make it. You got to have that context there. They weren't drafting starting quarterbacks.
Dustin,
they were drafting
okay, let me just ask you this then. What does Bill Belichick's analysis of Caleb Williams mean to you as a fan?
I mean, I take
It
anything.
means absolutely nothing.
No, well,
It
you
means
can't answer
nothing.
for me. You can't answer for me. I'll take anything that Bill
He
Belichick
drafted
says.
Mac Jones, by the way. He did
I'll
draft
take.
Mac Jones.
Yeah, he did, and there
And
were a few
Bailey
other teams
Zappi.
that wanted to
And
draft him
Bailey
too.
Zappi.
Yeah. Listen, I'll take anything that Bill Belichick says about the game of football a little seriously because the guy knows an awful lot about football. There are some things that he is that Caleb Williams had on his rap sheet coming into this league that are showing themselves in this league. This the same issues that he had. Those are legitimate things. Those aren't just made up, man. Like holds the ball too long, doesn't take the check down. The accuracy issues are showing themselves too, Brendan. And again, we can dial it up all perfectly for him and hope that he hits it. But in the NFL, it's never going to be perfect, man. You're never going to have all the time you need. You're never going to have the guy as open as you want him to be. You're never going to have it perfect. You got to deliver in those moments if you want to be considered the type of quarterback that we expect Caleb Williams to be. So all I'm saying is he going to deliver? Because that's still up in the air, and it's going to be up in the air for the rest of the season. We're not going to really know this until 2-3 years in, man, but you want to see progression.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is
right now we're seeing regression.
It's not straight from the topic. All I'm saying is Bill Belichick's quarterback analysis means nothing. If you told me Bill Belichick called Ryan Poles and said, "Do not draft this kid," and Ryan Poles passed on Caleb Williams
about Bill Belichick's quarterback
and he passed on Caleb Williams, I'd be furious.
For sure. Listen, he didn't have the opportunity to draft him. He didn't have an opportunity to draft Drake May. You know, he doesn't have a job right now. That's not in the NFL, and that's the reality. But
no, and to be honest, Dustin, I heard you out of your own mouth, Dustin, you said, I would not like Bill Belichick to have any part of the recipe, but just bake the fucking cake, right? You said
No,
that
yeah, I would
yourself.
want him to
I
be
don't
my head
want him
coach
to
and not
have
my GM.
any reins over selecting anybody in a draft. I just want him to coach the team, because the reality is Bill Belichick as a head of personnel is not good.
Well, he has been very good, very good. He's had a bad few. He had a bad few years to end his tenure with the
Yeah, as soon as
Patriots.
his Hall of
But
Fame quarterback left, he had a
he
bad
had
few
the
years.
one that he drafted, Brandon. Listen, like I said, I don't want to get in. I don't want to dial up on this for
I do.
we're
Why
up
not?
2 hours.
We got 5 minutes. Let's
Because it's like it's irrelevant. You don't want to acknowledge that Caleb Williams is showing some warts. You don't want to acknowledge it. That's the real issue.
No,
Man.
I do acknowledge. I actually said
You're
to you,
not.
I've been thinking about it for a week. Is Caleb Williams just a bad player? But
That's the
my
first time
my
I've ever heard you
my
say that. You
but
did not say that to me.
my like, are there, how many opinions could I get from other people that matter more than a defensive head coach in the NFL? A lot.
For sure. There's
An
listen and
unemployed NFL coach. A lot.
listen.
A
Bleacher
coach
Report.
whose quarterback left and won a Super Bowl anyways. That is what bothers me about Bill Belichick, man. Is Tom Brady did it
God,
without
just
him.
annoys me.
And I don't think, if I'm to answer you honestly, Dustin, even if the Bears hired Bill
I didn't
Belichick,
ask a question, but go
Bill
ahead.
Belichick, I don't think he ever wins a Super Bowl again.
He might not coach in the NFL again. Who knows?
Oh, he will. Stop. He will. He'll be a coach next year.
Again, the reality of the situation is Thomas Brown could set up all of this perfectly, potentially. We still need Caleb Williams to deliver, and there is enough on tape to make you question if he's going to do it. And whether that's because he wasn't held accountable when he was making those mistakes in practice by Shane Waldron, who was letting shit go, or whether that's
So
because
Dustin,
he's
what you're
being put on
saying
his
to me
back more
is what you're
consistently.
saying to me is, if
No, you're
Thomas
just
Brown
what
came
I'm
in and did all the things that a OC should do to make a rookie quarterback comfortable, like the Cliff Kingsbury's, whoever's the OC is of that Denver team with Bo Nix. If Thomas Brown came in and does
Sean
this,
Payton is
we
the OC.
might. What's that?
Sean Payton is the OC. Sean Payton is
All right,
the
well,
guy who
so
runs that
what you're
offense.
saying to me is, if Thomas Brown comes in and fixes this, Caleb Williams might be the problem on the Bears.
I'm saying that the possibility exists, Brandon.
Is that he's the problem with the Bears? Shane Waldron was fired because of Caleb Williams is a possibility.
No, not that he's the problem, but that he might not be the solution. Those are two different things. Caleb Williams.
He doesn't, Dustin. He's not. If he's not the problem, he doesn't need to be the solution. You need a solution to the problem, not to the not problem. So if Caleb Williams just needs a fucking guy who can just, Caleb Williams needs a guy who
Caleb
can just
Williams might not be what we thought he was. That possibility.
That's what I've been asking you to say, man. Do you believe that Caleb Williams is the problem? Is he the reason?
I'm not saying that he's the problem. Caleb Williams could be a solid NFL quarterback for the rest of his career, Brandon, but he could still have these flaws that carry with him. That's just a possibility.
So he could be like a rookie for the rest of the season?
No. He could be like instead of being Peyton Manning. Jesus, can you get some better pockets? This is ridiculous. How many times I gotta listen to a phone
he could be the player we
can?
expect him to be. He could be the player we expect him to be. But this year he might struggle. Like, yeah, he's a rookie. Of course, dude. Like, what I don't know what you're.
No, that's not what I'm saying. There's some quarterbacks in the NFL that are never what we expected Caleb Williams to be, Brandon. They're not all Peyton Manning. Some of them turn into Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Trevor Lawrence is not a rookie still. So what
are you saying?
Get across?
So what are you saying? Dustin, let me ask you this.
I'm saying that instead of Peyton Manning, he might be Trevor Lawrence, dude.
Okay,
that possibility exists.
Let's skip all the bullshit.
How much clearer can I make that?
Who has been the problem on the Bears offense?
In my estimation, up to this point, it's been the offensive line and Shane Waldron. Yeah.
So where is your concern if Thomas Brown, because this whole conversation is revolved around if Thomas Brown does figure this out, this where you said Caleb might not be the guy anyways. So if Shane Waldron, the offensive line, is the problem, and Thomas Brown figures this out, and Caleb doesn't perform, who was the problem? Who got Shane Waldron fired?
The offensive line still sucks, Brandon.
So
The offensive line still
I
sucks
don't know where
regardless
we're
of who
going
your
with this,
offensive
man. I
line.
don't know if you're saying to me that Caleb Williams is going to suck still because things haven't been fixed, because the problems all can't be fixed, or
That's a
Caleb
very
Williams
real
sucked
possibility.
already, and that's why the problems exist. Like, I don't
I don't
understand.
think that Caleb Williams sucks. I don't think that he does. But again, it's just about acknowledging the fact that if everything gets drawn up perfectly, Caleb Williams needs to deliver. And like I said,
And
it will
Dustin, if
never
you
be
believe,
perfect.
and I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry, but if you believe that everything gets, you just said the word, I'm going to say, drawn up perfectly, and Caleb Williams fails, he sucks. He
No,
sucks.
not necessarily.
If
He's a
everything is
rookie quarterback.
drawn up perfectly for a quarterback in the NFL and you fail, you suck. There's no doubt about that.
No, not
Drawn,
necessarily. Not necessarily, man.
how am I wrong?
There's time to grow. There's things that he still needs to learn. There's a lot of shit he still has going to continue to have ups and downs for the remainder of this season.
Okay, but
He
Dustin,
is.
me and you and myself expected that before the season started.
Yeah, of course, but we also expected
Every
Caleb to
time
be
we talked
performing
about
better.
Caleb Williams, we said he's gonna struggle because he's a rookie. Like, you almost have to say those things when you're talking about a rookie. He's gonna struggle. He's gonna have his ups and
But
downs.
Brandon, we also said 4,000. He could be the first quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards in his rookie
And
season for the
Dustin,
Chicago Bears.
theoretically, he still could be.
No, he's at like 1,500 yards right now. I mean, we're halfway through the
1,700 yards.
season.
He would have to throw like 240 yards a game for the rest of the season. I did
Yeah,
the math.
and there's no way that's happening with this Bears offensive line and this Bears off. There's
So
just no way.
well, if that's the case, it didn't line up perfectly. Thomas Brown didn't do a thing. If that happens,
Oh, no, Caleb Williams doesn't have to throw for 240 yards a game for me to think Thomas Brown did change things for the better. Is
240
all I'm
yards a game
saying.
is not a lot, Dustin.
No, it kind of is this year in the NFL if you look at the stats.
Well, we've had
kind of
4 500-yard games, so this is the worst year for you to use that example.
No, it's not. If you look at the leaders across the
500-yard
league
games
in yards per game, it's there's not a bunch of guys putting up 250 yards a game, man. It's just it's not the league is moving toward more.
What do you think the league average is? I bet you it's 230.
Okay, look it up.
What do you think it is?
No, listen, you get too defensive when it comes to these things. You can't acknowledge that.
No, I'm
Caleb
trying to
Williams,
make sense of what you're saying to me, man, because you're like, if Thomas Brown is the savior of all and makes this thing perfect, Caleb Williams might still be a shitty player. But I'm not saying he's a shitty player. I'm saying like he's a rookie that could
I never
struggle.
said he could be
I
a
don't
shitty
understand
player.
what is your point? What is your
You've
actual point?
you've turned my point into this big grand thing because of your defensive-ness when it comes to
No,
Caleb Williams.
I don't know your point.
My point was, Brandon, and it will continue to be that we still need to see Caleb deliver. We still need to see Caleb
so
deliver.
Your point is, if Thomas
I
Brown
didn't say he's shitty. I didn't say he sucks. I didn't say any of these things that you're saying, Brandon. That's not what I said.
Dustin, what you're saying is if Thomas Brown delivers and he's successful,
then Caleb needs to as
well.
Caleb
might still be the whoa. Caleb still. Okay.
I said Caleb still needs to deliver, and what he's put on tape shows you that that can be called into question, Brandon.
So Caleb So Dustin, what I just said is not incorrect. You're saying that Caleb might still be the factor that loses football games.
Listen. I've never said that Caleb was the problem. I think Caleb has been put in a shitty position.
But you're saying if he doesn't deliver, he might still be the thing that derails the train.
I'm saying that us as Bears fans still need to see him deliver. We still need to see that. I'm not saying
what that means. Like we need to see that he can do, because he threw 4 touchdowns in a football
in us that he is this guy that we think he is. He needs to hit the.
What do you need to see, Dustin? 300-yard games and a 4 touchdown. What do you need to see? What are you waiting for?
I need to see it on the field, man. I just need to see him
make throws. He's thrown
I'm
4
not putting a statistical category on it, man. I'm not.
What do you need to see?
I'm not setting some kind of bar. I just need to see him get in a rhythm and make the throws when they're there, not hold the ball when you're about to get sacked, to have that better pocket awareness and just get the ball out, man. Make smart decisions. I need to see that from Caleb Williams. That's what I need to see. I'm not saying that I won't see it. I'm not saying that I haven't seen it in certain areas. I'm saying that the consistency with which I see it, I want it to be more to justify the confidence that I had in Caleb Williams coming into this season.
Okay, so we'll agree on this. You're saying that even if Thomas Brown comes in and does everything that's required to make this offense run, Caleb Williams has not been the part and needs to be better. And Caleb Williams, and if you're saying that, you are saying,
yeah, Caleb Williams has not performed to the level of his expectation.
You are saying this because you've denied it twice. If Thomas Brown fires on all cylinders, Caleb Williams might still be the thing that derails this season. That's what you're saying. That is what you're saying.
No, the season's already derailed, dude. I'm saying that Caleb, the potential for
no, it's
any
not. If you're 4-5 and Thomas Brown fires on all cylinders, it's not derailed. Caleb Williams would be the problem.
I think it is. I think this season's done either way. This NFC North, I don't think they win this week. Even if their offense performs well, I don't know that they win this week. So you're going to be 4-6 after this Sunday, Brandon, in the NFC North.
Well, what the hell does that mean? If their offense
that means that your season is done.
I don't know if they win this week if their offense performs. So you think like the Bears defense is going to come out and shit against the Packers?
I think it's very possible. When your offense is not holding up its end of the bargain, I've said this already earlier in the show, man. The defense cannot keep being asked to do all of the work. I have
no concern with the Bears defense. Fruits of their labor. The Bears defense is going to be fine on Sunday, Dustin. We're going to revisit this next week.
No,
they're going to be fine.
I think that they should, but I'm just saying that potential exists too, man. If you're constantly watching your offense go 3 and out, and you got to go back on that field and stand on your head again, that wears on.
Yeah, but man,
it does.
You can say that, but if in the last 16 games they've allowed over 20 points once, I don't care. It does You could say.
Listen, the effects of the season will start to wear on, man. They will.
We're going on 20 games. With 19 points or less. Do you believe that that's just like that's not a product of this defense?
Hey, Brandon, if you can go 20 nights in a row coming home to your wife making you dinner, great dinner on the table every night. You don't thank her, you don't do your fucking job before you come home. How you continue to expect that dinner on the table every time you come home?
Well,
no, you got to do your part too. But you got to do your part too. It's an analogy. I'm not pointing at anyone. I'm just saying.
You're saying that if the
actually giving anything back, eventually you're going to stop.
Yeah, you're saying that the offense will, if the offense continues to struggle, the defense will quit.
I said it earlier in the show. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yes.
I don't believe that. I don't.
Okay.
I think, and to be honest with you, man, I think I've seen one player who I can. Well, DJ Moore quit on that play. I'm in agreement with McKinney, to be honest, on that. But
Tyreek Stevenson quit in that game this last game.
I don't think he was injured. Yeah, if there's one player who's quit on this football team, it's Tyreek Stevenson.
Tyreek Stevenson quit. That was the worst game he's played.
I said early in this podcasting thing, he's probably my biggest ish on defense. Is that guy right there? And I thought maybe based on performance, but it's become a bigger problem than I thought it was. Like it's attitude, it's approach, it's effort, it's everything. This guy is my new Nate Davis, man.
That's a bridge too far.
Bullseye on him, man.
That's a bridge too far for me.
No, Dustin, that Washington game ended on the hand of Tyreek Stevenson. I don't want to hear it. That guy lost the fucking football game.
And the coach should have called a timeout and gotten him off the fucking field if he wanted to act that way. Again, it comes back always to the leadership on the team and what are you establishing as your expectations and your standards.
Of course, but
now
when
this
you
team
say
has
that,
none.
But when you say that, you're expecting that a good coach could change or impact Tyreek Stevenson when that's not a guarantee. A good coach a Jim Harbaugh could come in here and Tyreek Stevenson might just get fucking cut, bro. That might just be the result because this guy's an asshole. And I'm sorry, right. I love Tyreek Stevenson as a player, man, but I'm going to say it. This first time it's been recorded on Four Star Chicago Sports. This guy's an asshole. He's a fucking asshole. Tyreek Stevenson is an asshole. He needs to keep because the Patriots game, man. He was to be honest with you, man, that Patriots game, he should have been flagged. He got in a player's face, he pushed him, and he should have been flagged. And I thought to myself, this guy has learned nothing. He literally might have lost a game, and he's learned nothing. He pushed a Patriots player, man. He pushed a Patriots offensive lineman, and the guy didn't move. So I don't think he got a flag for it because pushing an offensive lineman when you're 210 pounds doesn't do a whole lot. But I think that should have probably been a flag on that play, man. And I'm thinking to myself when that happened, like, is this guy? Should we just not have this guy on a football team?
Listen, it's all up for grabs with this Bears team right now, Brandon.
Well, I know, but
All
we've
of it.
talked about like this attitude is a necessity, but to what point?
I want to point out again, Kyle Harris says right here, attitude reflects leadership. There's a complete lack of leadership in the Bears facilities. There just is. Matty
Okay, but
Eberflus is not doing his job, and that trickles
understand
down
this
to
though.
everything. That
Kyle,
trickles
understand
down
this
to
though.
everything. There's no
been
accountability.
some really quality leaders that have not been able to get a grasp over really bad attitudes. Kyle, was Bruce Arians the reason that Antonio Brown took his jersey off and walked off the field? Was it Bruce Arians' lack of discipline that made Antonio Brown do that?
No. They did they not get him off their team immediately?
That was it.
Yeah. So I mean,
there are guys who can't control. The best leaders in the world can't control some of these people, man. I mean, that's just what it is. If Tyreek Stevens is just an asshole,
left
doesn't matter who you can bring in
side.
Mike Tomlin, you can bring in Mike Ditka. If Tyreek Stevenson's an asshole, that ain't the guy's he's a grown man. It's not changing based on what his head coach prefers. He's an asshole.
I mean, listen, when I was 23 years old, I would not call myself a grown man, but here, listen, I don't think the story is written on Tyreek Stevenson yet. I still believe in Tyreek Stevenson. I do believe that
I will bet
I do believe that his performance and his attitude on the field is a direct reflection of how Eberflus has dealt with him.
I will bet this. We haven't seen the last unnecessary roughness or unsportsmanlike conduct flag for Tyreek Stevenson. We have not seen the last of that this year.
And I will maintain.
I'll bet my ass on that. I will bet everything on that.
I will maintain that every team needs a guy like that. They just got to figure out how to control them, and that comes down again to leadership and accountability.
Right. So when you suspend a guy for a half of football, and then he comes in the second half and starts a fight, this is what I'm saying, man. Like, there's only so much you can only do so much for a human being to evolve. Before
for sure, you can't control.
We can say Tyreek Stevenson is Matt Eberflus's fault, but it's not. Tyreek Stevenson is Tyreek Stevenson. He handles himself the way he does. That's his problem. And a coach can tell him no bullshit, but the guy needs to actually listen. You know what I mean? Like, Tyreek Stevenson was benched and almost he did start a fight. Like I said, I don't know if are you aware of what I'm talking about?
Yes.
There's a play where he walked up and shoved a player, and it should have probably been a penalty, and it wasn't. So after getting benched for a half of football, what did Tyreek Stevenson learn and apply?
I don't know that play warrants the level of like resentment you have.
Justin, you can't push players. You should know that. No matter who it is, you can't push players.
Players push players all the time. It's fucking football, man.
Yeah, they get flagged for it, man. And you know what? And the coach gets pissed off when players push players all the time.
Well, not our coach. Our coach lets all this shit.
There's no industry. Like, you're not going to be, doing what you do as a manager and be like, well, he pushes people all the time, so it's cool. Like, it's just,
I'm also not coaching a bunch of men that are running their heads into each other play after play either. It's a different world. It does matter. You're talking like a guy who's never played the sport, to be quite honest.
But when a person on your roster has gone rogue, what do you do?
Listen, you got to reel them back in. You got to reel them back in and figure out how to turn that energy into a positive direction. So for sure. But you don't want to lose that energy.
Suspending Tyreek Stevenson and then benching him while he starts. By the way, I do believe, because this has not been reported yet. I'm going to say here now on our channel, I believe Tyreek Stevenson's benching against the Patriots was not due to lack of effort. I believe it was because he started a fight. That's what I think. I think that was the last play I saw Tyreek Stevenson.
Listen, Tyreek Stevenson.
So Eberflus is doing what's required of a bad attitude.
what I will not defend of Tyree Stevenson is that when he found out he was going to be benched for a half in that game, he pulled himself out of practice. Tyree Stevenson seems to be an issue, and there's no doubt in
He's
my
an
mind that
asshole,
he's quit.
bro.
There's no doubt.
There's no
He's
other word to
he's
use.
childish. He's immature, man. He's immature. He's an immature person for sure in terms of
He's
how
an
he's dealing
attitude.
with this adversity.
He's an
How he's dealing
attitude
with this
and those
adversity is not good. He quit in that game. That was
attitudes.
the worst game he played, and that's a reflection on him for sure. That is not a reflection on Matt Eberflus, the way he played in that game. I don't give a shit that he pushed somebody. It's football. These guys are gonna get at each other, man. And you want to control it to
Dustin,
the best
it's
you can.
football. It's football. That's the point. You don't fight because it's football. That's what you're paid to hit each other hard.
No.
So
Listen, again, you're talking like somebody who's never been hit before on a football field. Because those things boil over, man.
I mean, not like for a high school team, but I did play football.
It happens, man. Those aggressions boil over. You got to figure out how to control it.
Dustin,
but Tyree Stevenson is not representing himself well.
If a person is consistently the guy who lets it boil over, what is that?
That becomes a problem for sure. And again, I think better leaders would get better out of them. I really do feel that way. Whether or not he'll get that chance,
what makes you say that? A guy got suspended.
This is all just speculation, bro.
Yeah, but Dustin, speculation is a guy.
What makes me say that? Antonio Brown played his entire first part of his career for the Steelers, being the same person he was when he left the Steelers. Mike Tomlin made sure that he knew what it was. He got the best possible play out of a maniac. Good leader. Mike Tomlin is a good head coach. And there are and listen, the 85 Bears was a bunch of maniacs that Buddy Ryan and Mike Ditka found a way to control and focus their energy into a positive direction in terms of destroying the other team. And they were on the fence a lot of times in how they approached the game. Kyle Harris says you don't bench the player and hurt your team. You fine them the max penalty. That's all they care about is their money. Yes, I agree with that 100%. I didn't think the way that it all was handled was good from anyone, from Tyree Stevenson, from Matt Eberflus, from the Bears organization, and they left Tyree Stevenson out to dry in terms of basically taking the blame for that entire game. You said that yourself.
I also believe that when Mike Tomlin got rid of Antonio Brown was still good.
It was when he could not control him anymore.
Yeah. He was still a good player. Mike Brown just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin
couldn't do it anymore. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
He
did get a lot of good out of him.
Is there a point, like, let's say the next head coach, let's say it's not Eberflus, man. Let's say it's somebody else next year. Is there a point where somebody says, fuck this guy? This guy's a problem. He puts himself before a team constantly. That's a problem. Dustin, these penalties, the not paying attention on the final play of the game and the penalties and the poking a guy in an eye and the starting to fight.
Here, I'll just say this. If it continues into next season, if it continues into this season to where he's not controlling himself to the detriment of the football team, then he needs to go. He needs to go.
Yeah, because those are all selfish decisions.
I'm just saying that I don't think that it has to get to that point with Tyree Stevenson, and I think a better leader would not let it get to that point.
Every one of those guys out there, because you just said to me, like, you haven't played football, you haven't been hit. Every one of those guys wants to punch somebody in the face across from them. Every player on a football field, they just don't.
And sometimes they do. And then listen, you don't want
if they're assholes, they do. And
if Tyree Stevenson continues to be a detriment to this football team, he should not be on this team. I will say that. I think Tyree Stevenson is a very good player, and I think he's going to get better. I hope they can figure it out with him, because if they don't, you're going to watch him go somewhere else and be a really good cornerback for the next 5-6 years.
I think he's a good player too. I think you're going to get to a point where you have to determine which is more important to you.
Does the bad outweigh the good? Yeah, no, for sure. And you got to make that decision.
You're going to get to a Nate Davis point, but let's just imagine Nate Davis was like a good football player. You're going to get to that.
No, I don't think it gets to that.
Who is it affecting? Who is Tyree Stevenson affecting on your team? You're going to get to that point.
For sure. Tyree Stevenson is a really good player, man. This past Sunday was the worst game that he's played as a Chicago Bear, and it's because he quit, and he needs to figure his shit out. He really does. And I hope he does because he's a big part of this defense in my mind, and I don't want to see him go anywhere. But I will say, if he continues to be a detriment the way you're describing to this football team, and selfishly so, then yeah, he's got to go. He's got to go. And you can replace him with a myriad of players on this secondary and still be okay, I think.
And you can probably get a player that is better than a 56.2 PFF grade over the course of the entire season.
Okay. Listen, on to the next thing here, man. Let's get your prediction for this Bears-Packers game because we've been a long time talking about all these different factors that are going to pour into.
I don't even want to do it, man. What do we like? Can I give two?
What do you mean? Do whatever you want.
Can I give a prediction? Like, if can I give a prediction if Thomas Brown like runs the football versus doesn't?
That's what it's been every week for this Bears team this entire season.
All right, so if Thomas Brown comes out and establishes a way to make Caleb comfortable, and by that
with the run game with DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about the quick passing stuff. I'm talking about just running the fucking football, man. Just getting back to the basics. If Thomas Brown approaches this game that way, I'm going to say Bears 21, Packers 17. If they don't run the ball, if it's a 55% pass, if it's back to the same old shit, man, I'm going to say Packers 28, Bears 3.
Okay. I will guarantee you that percentage flips in this game. I will guarantee you that Thomas Brown will make a concerted effort
to make sure.
That,
Dustin, if you really think that, I'm saying 21-17 Bears.
Okay. I'll guarantee you that happens. I'll guarantee you that Thomas Brown comes out do exactly what he thinks has been wrong with this offense and establish a run game and a quick passing identity with Caleb Williams. I'll guarantee you that happens. But I still think the Bears lose the game. I still think that it's just a lot to overcome. I still think that Matt Eberflus is the problem with this team. I don't think that. I mean, Shane Waldron was obviously a problem, but he was a symptom of the problem, I think. Matt Eberflus is the disease. Matt Eberflus is what needs to be treated in this equation. So you can rearrange all the chairs and do all that, man, but I think this team is dead in the water.
Let me ask you this, man. How much value do you put in Matt Eberflus's defense? Because like they won 5 out of 7 of their final games last year with with Luke Getsy as an offensive coordinator. Like, if a guy figured this out and like used DeAndre Swift and Caleb successful on short passing, quick release stuff, and get in the end zone, how much does Matt Eberflus? You still think it's just a loss? It's just bad. It's just done.
Matt Eberflus needs to go. What up, Dibs? How you doing? Thanks for joining us. But at the 2 hour,
I mean, I agree with you, Dustin. Matt
better late than never. Matt Eberflus is
the disease.
The issue. Yes,
for sure. Like you said that really well because Waldron was a symptom.
All these other things are symptoms. Yes, Matt Eberflus.
Did they get rid of a symptom just now?
And Waldron, yes, they did 100%. But it doesn't change the fact that Flus is still the decision maker. Flus is the guy that made that decision, and he's the guy who you can trace back all the problems to. That's just the reality of it. It
makes you wonder, like, was Thomas Brown even the right guy to promote?
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, you got to question every decision that this franchise makes. You got to question every decision that Flus makes. It's like being the person who robbed someone, and then you get to decide for them how, like, in what way they get their stuff back. How do you give it back? Like, you get to be the person that decides, like, so I take this person's purse and then I get to decide how to make that right for them. You know, Matt Eberflus is the culprit in this issue, and he's also making the decisions to then rectify all of the decisions that have caused all the issues. So that, as long as that's happening.
That's what I mean. Like a head coach appointed an OC, he fires the OC, and then he's again in charge of appointing who replaces
Who
the
the
OC.
OC is. He was in charge of hiring him. He was in charge of firing him 9 weeks into the season, 10 weeks into the season.
He's in charge of replacing him.
And he's in charge of replacing him. But he's the guy who's caused all of the issues. So I have no confidence or faith in this team.
Well, I don't know. Do you think he caused?
Yes.
I don't know how much of Shane Waldron had to do with Luke, because you said earlier in the show, man, Petty Flus does not oversee anything on the offense. I think Shane Waldron was just
That's the cause.
I think that was a rogue. I think there was 2 culprits here, and one of them's gone. Now, I agree with you.
Brandon, that's the cause. The fact that Eberflus is not overseeing that offense, the fact that Eberflus was not making sure that Shane Waldron would just do the things that could plain as day make this offense have a better chance at success, that's the cause, in my mind. He's the one that's supposed to hold.
Yeah, but Shane Waldron should know. Shane Waldron's got to know not to do some of the things he did, man.
For sure. But guess whose job it is to tell him that? Yeah. The head coach. And if you're listen, you're telling me if you're the head coach and you're telling your offensive coordinator, dude, we're running the ball at half the clip that we're passing the ball, and I'm not okay with that. That needs to change. And then the next week they come out and run the ball less. Would that happen if you were the head coach and you told their offensive coordinator that? Like how does that even make sense? How does that make sense? Like, how do you go through an entire week of preparation after putting forth a losing effort and then come out and repeat the same thing, but worse? The head coach is responsible for making sure that shit does not happen. The head coach is responsible to make sure that I got this defense that's really good. I need an offense that's complementary to it. And the head coach is the one responsible to make sure that happens. You work for me as an offensive coordinator if I'm the head coach.
Well, really, I would just, honest to God, man, I just tell an offensive coordinator, just give me time, possession. Just keep my team.
Dib says Waldron is a Flus culture fit guy. Yeah. And he just fit himself right out of that culture when it was convenient for Flus to maintain his job.
Yeah, he didn't fit very well.
Again, you steal the purse, but then you get to decide what the punishment is for you, and you get to decide what the reimbursement is for the person you stole the purse from. How does that make any sense? You're the culprit. You don't get to have that decide. You don't get to decide that. That's decided for you.
I'm sorry I stole your purse, Dustin.
Okay. Yep.
It was a joke.
The fact that you have to tell me that.
Fuck off, man.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm trying to give you some back. I'm trying.
Yeah, I know. We're just about at the ends here.
Everyone is to blame when Flus is in charge. It's insane that Poles has this weird loyalty. Brandon, we were saying this a year ago, man. When we had the whole who was the I don't remember the PJ. Who's the fucking
Walker.
PJ Washington? Walker? Yeah. That whole thing. Like it's like Poles makes these mistakes and then gets rewarded for fixing them half a season later or months later. And it's like, what a smart decision to fix that mistake. Well, it was the mistake that he made in the first place. You don't get credit for that. Poles has somehow found a way to get credit for fixing things he broke in the first place. Same thing with Eberflus.
Yeah, same with Flus. Yeah, it's just like, he held the locker room together last year when all those coaches had all those issues. Oh, yeah, those coaches.
That he hired. Those were his staff. He brought them in.
Those guys that he vetted. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Who are like apparently, I don't know. I don't want to even. They're apparently like pedophiles or something.
Oh yeah, that's another good way to put it. Like I come in your house and break your TV with a bat, and then I'm the one who comes to fix it. You hire and pay me then.
With said bat.
You hire and pay me to fix the TV I just broke. You know, it's like that's not how it works. Apparently that's how it works in Chicago, man. So with all that being said, I think the Bears do kind of figure out some things offensively. I expect to see Caleb Williams perform pretty decent in this game based on the fact that they'll run the football, because Thomas Brown is a running backs coach at his core. He will go to the run, and he will go to it a lot. So I think Caleb performs pretty well, but I still think the Bears lose this game 24-17. Dibs wants the Bears to give Roshan the fucking ball. I mean, I love Swift, man. I think a good combination of both of them is going to be the key. I do think Roshan gets
I gotta
more
give it to you,
involved.
man. 24 points for the road team in Chicago with a quarterback who's turned the ball over more than anyone else. That is
But in those games that he turns the ball over, Brandon, his team still scores points. He still manages some big plays down the field. He does.
His team hasn't played this team yet, man.
He's very Brett Favre-ish to me, Jordan Love.
What
you're going to get the mistakes,
like,
but you're also going to get the big bombs down the field, the big plays that wow you.
Yeah, there's not going to be any big bombs down the field this week, man.
Again, man, my biggest concern with this defense is that they keep just watching this offense go 3 and out, and they get discouraged. Dibs like Swift too, but it's been so unbalanced with the exception of a few games. I mean, yeah, Roshan's not really gotten involved much at all. I like that thunder and lightning potential that exists with Roshan Johnson and DeAndre Swift. It's only existed in theory. We have not seen it actually put into play in real life on the field. And hopefully Thomasbrown makes that a focus because it gives you multiple elements of your offense that you can attack the defense with. And it gives you 2 backs that both stay fresh, and that defense gets worn down by that. So yeah, I mean, it would be a huge advantage. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you would like to think so. It's like you got to start wondering: is Roshan a bust, or is this Bears team just so incompetent they can't figure out how to use him? It's like everything on this team, man.
No, I think they figured out how to use him. He's 4 for 5 on the goal line, 4 for 4.
Yeah, and they got to get down there to use him with that. But I think Roshan could bring more to this offense than what he's been given the opportunity to do.
I'm okay with Swift being on the field every play.
No, yeah, because every play that he touches the ball is a potential breakout play.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the 1 yard line. Let's go Roshan. Everything outside of that.
As we were sitting here talking, I vacillated back and forth between 21 or 24 for the Packers. Honestly, I mean, so it wasn't easy for me to say that this Bears team is going to allow 24 points at home. But again, it's just I don't have a lot to have faith in. And if that Patriots team can score, you're saying this, but that Patriots team just scored 19 points on the Bears at home. And that Patriots offense is nowhere near the amount of weapons and offensive firepower that the Packers have, man. And Jordan Love is just a better quarterback than Drake May. So Dibs agrees that Roshan can bring more to the table. All right, so you got 28-3 Packers, right, Brandon? And I got 24-17, and that's what it's gonna be. And Brandon's not here to deny his 28-3 score, so that's what's gonna go in the record books. Brandon is picking the Packers to beat the Bears 28-3.
Whoa. Yeah, I can. If the Bears run the ball, man, I'll have a different view.
You said the Bears win, right? Is that what you said?
If they
Bears
run the
win
ball,
21-17?
Yeah, because I think their defense. Because you just mentioned the Patriots scored 19 points, man, but I think that was honestly a result. So here's the thing, man. You can't. If you expect the Bears offense to play better, you can't expect. Like, the Patriots just got the ball too many damn times for too long, man.
Yeah.
It was just. It's of course they're going to put field goals on the board because they're just getting the ball again and again. If you think the Bears' offense is fixed, it does give the opposing offense less opportunity to score points.
I don't think that they're fixed, Brandon. I don't think the Bears' offense is fixed. I think it's just going to be.
I think, Dustin, to be honest with you, man,
okay, workable because of a different approach.
I think if they run the ball, they're fixed.
Interesting. It's the thing that gives them the best chance to win.
They have the pieces of receiver to resolve everything else. Like if you run the ball, and you have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze as an outlet because you're running the ball efficiently, that's one hell of an outlet, man.
I agree, man. And I think, like I said, I think the approach will be much better in this Sunday's game plan than it has been the last few weeks for this offense. And I think that will result in a better offensive performance. It's just this Packers team is really good, man. It is a good football team. And there's a reason that they're 5.5.
They're ranked 8th right now. The Bears are ranked 22nd, I think.
Are they that high? Why would they be that high? They just lost to the Patriots at home.
I think
and
they're still like,
this a power ranking from like ESPN or something. Is this what you're referring to?
yeah.
Okay. I hope it's a good game. I hope the Bears give us something to cheer for, and I hope it's something. There's something to get excited about in regards to Caleb Williams to kind of shut up all this doubt that's coming towards him. This should they bench him bullshit. Like, I'm sick of that. I believe in Caleb Williams, Brandon. We had our whole tit there earlier. I believe in Caleb Williams. I believe he's a really good quarterback with the potential to be great. I do just acknowledge the possibility that this team could fuck him up. This Bears franchise.
And it doesn't matter, Dustin. I'm going to say this to
Yeah.
everybody who's going to watch this tonight. It doesn't matter. The guy on the bench isn't better.
Never
The
gonna
guy on
be.
the guy on the bench is not going to give you a better chance to win. More importantly,
No.
if Caleb Williams is struggling behind this offensive line, you don't want Bajan out there. Just making that clear. Trust
All right,
me.
so you got Bears 21-17. I got Packers 24-17. Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, let's call it that.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, man, it's been a fun time. We've gone for way too long, and I'm tired as shit. I appreciate the people in the chat. Dibs, thanks for joining, man. It was a little late, but we appreciate you, bro. Make sure you check out the rest of the show. Make sure you hit that like button. Kyle Harris,
Dibs.
Breaking
Subscribe.
News, Secret Bajent, man, and we had Shorty.
Hold on, guys. For anyone who might watch this show, we appreciate the likes more than you could ever know. Honestly,
So we want the sub, yeah.
Please, because we're getting like 400, 500 likes with no following subscriptions, and guys, that subscriptions is the way we can continue to bring you this content. That is literally it gives us more ability to kind of expand, if you will. Like, if we start to see, an increase in demand, we're going to give you guys more product. And when I say that, I literally mean more days per week we'll be doing this. And we'll be doing more on top of just the Chicago Bears. But please, 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 please hit that subscribe button. That is what keeps us moving forward.
Hey, listen, I appreciate everybody. You come here and you want to check us out. It is what it is. We appreciate you just for checking in on us. We're just two dummies talking football, and I think we've exemplified that. I think we've Brandon, I'm sorry that you have so little confidence in yourself, man.
I knew it. You're such a piece of shit.
What I mean, it's just a little self-effacing humor, man. Just a little.
Yeah, we have one genius, Dustin here, the crafty Dustin Jones, and we have one bare minimum host, which is myself.
The host of the Bare Minimum.
We want to give a shout out to River Street Tavern, located 102 River Street. They do have $2 burgers on Wednesdays, guys. $2 burgers on Wednesday. You can get a $2 burger at McDonald's, so go check them out, guys. What's our other one? Ideal Amusements.
Yes, sir.
Ideal Amusement, guys. They do all kinds of good things.
We'll be back on Monday for the House Hall Hangover. Hopefully, we're talking about a Bears victory. And if not, we'll
us out, guys. This is gonna be a big House Hall Hangover. Check us out for this one.
Yeah, for sure. Monday, 6:00, we'll be back on with Sean and Kyle. Make sure you guys go back and check out Sean and Kyle's pod from yesterday. They did a couple of them, actually. They had Mike Vernon covers Kansas Jayhawks basketball. They did a little show on that, and then
that's cool, man. It's cool to have a guy covering the number one basketball team in the country on our show.
Thanks, Bruce. Hey, everybody, have a great rest of your night. If you watch this tomorrow, make sure you hit that like, make sure you sub, please. And come back with us on Monday for a fun show. It's always fun when it's all four of us because we get a little rowdy. I always enjoy it. So, yeah, thanks for everybody in the chat. Brandon, thank you. Go Bears, bear down. Hopefully we get a win this weekend.
Bears Packers, let's go.
All right. 4-Star Chicago Sports.